Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Pick a Side podcast. My name is Joel Moran and I'm here with Riv and Andrew Velez, and this is now episode 108. We have a jam-packed show today where we will be discussing Ben Simmons wanting out, the Lauri Markkanen trade, the Pelicans, Grizzlies, and more. For the football portion of the episode, we will talk about Cam Newton getting cut, how good Miami would be with Deshaun Watson, and give our predictions for the AFC North and South. And a quick Patreon shout out to Sean Triplett, Burner Hoops, Cat Stevens, Ben Mack, P. Dot, George Garcia, Hikari, Mateen, and Jay Aqua. This past month, people have been supporting our Patreon, and we appreciate it. And if you guys do support our Patreon, you can have access to our Discord server where Riv is in it, I'm in it, Drew is in it. Yeah. We're always talking about it, chatting about the NBA
Drew never
or
talks.
NFL.
What?
Drew doesn't talk. He's
That's
Hollywood.
Cap.
Yeah, Drew
what are you
never
talking
talks.
about?
I always talk in the chat. Riv always talks in the chat.
You never talk.
That is cap.
Hollywood
I
guy.
talk when I'm trying to get the people into the fantasy football league.
Oh, that's a great point.
Exactly.
And I almost forgot about it.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys want to get access to our fantasy football league, you get first dibs if you join our Patreon or you join via YouTube membership. Now on our channel, we have this button down below where you can join. And if you join, it gives you 3 tiers. And every single tier has access to our Discord server. And if you join, you can be a part of our fantasy football league. How many spots are still open?
I think we have 4 spots remaining.
4 spots
4
remaining.
spots.
Okay.
And Chippy.
I'm trying to win a championship this year. I think I'm going to win.
I think you need to work on your team name before you can work it.
What's your team name?
Zach Wilson.
That's
No,
terrible.
Zach Wilson is the GOAT.
Oh, yeah.
What's your team name?
Mine is Andrew's Angels.
Garbage.
Andrew's Angels.
Garbage.
Andrew's Angels.
That's
Andrew's
trash.
Angels.
That's not that good.
What's your team name?
Playoff P.
Playoff.
It's
P?
like you. What are you guys going for? You guys are naming.
That's
not a
my
person, it's
my
a
moniker.
team.
It's my favorite player's moniker. So I had to name it after him.
You gotta do. You could do it like
Andrews Rivers
No.
Angels. That's what you wanted me to do.
I don't know, something clever. It's like playoff P is not
Because
clever
I'm gonna
at all.
lock it down. You know, playoff P.
It's basketball. We're playing football.
Whatever.
Maybe something about Jalen Hurts.
I don't want my name to be with Jalen Hurts.
I don't know. Just think of anything.
Yeah. Playoff
At
P.
least Zach Wilson is.
Andrews Angels.
I mean, it's a team name.
What team?
My squad. They're Andrew's Angels. It makes clear sense.
All right, well, you know, we're a bunch.
Zach Wilson is the goal.
Yeah, like like
What if I don't draft Zach Wilson? What if
Exactly.
somebody drafts him?
I should just get you mad.
if I know who's gonna draft, if I know someone in the league, I think he'll draft him.
I think I'm actually gonna win the league though. I'm good at
Do
fantasy.
you really believe
Are
that?
you?
I'm really good at fantasy. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, when you lose,
Good luck, brother.
When you lose,
I'm if I don't win the league, I'm definitely
you're double
going
downing.
like
You're double downing.
8-2 or whatever it is, whatever record you can have. I'm gonna have a great record.
I hope
There's
so.
no doubt about
So
it.
you're gonna be the Green Bay Packers. Great record, and you just don't win.
I mean, I guess, yeah, you can put it like that. But, yeah, if you guys subscribe to our Patreon or you join as a YouTube member, not only can you get access to the Discord and you get access to asking us weekly questions, suggestions, we're trying to do something where when we get enough supporters on Patreon and on the YouTube membership thing, we're going to do an episode that is only questions from you guys and, you know, topic suggestions. And we'll probably make that episode exclusive only to members and Patreon subscribers. So it gives you guys a chance to connect with us on a deeper level, more than just, you know, 2 episodes a week. And also it helps us out a lot in trying to create the best content possible right now. We're trying to buy another mic for Drew and Riv and get them matching with me right here. I got the Shure SM7B.
Oh.
They have great microphones too. You know, it sounds
Not the
great.
way you said it. You said it like we had some garbage.
You guys are poor. I'm superior.
I had the Shar 55, whatever you said.
You know what's the thing? Because I'm really into equipment stuff. I can tell the difference between what's great and what's not.
Oh.
But for the average consumer and listener that isn't too deep into it, if they hear your mics and they listen, they'll be like, that sounds really professional.
So you're telling us we don't, basically. Okay.
You guys are poor.
I'm saying that if I didn't mention your mics were cheap, you wouldn't realize your mics were cheap.
I know.
It's okay. I can tell your
kidding.
mic is very above and beyond.
This
Come
is
on, bro,
the
it's got to stand.
this
See
is
that?
this is the mic that they use on the Breakfast Club and on Joe Rogan.
Excuse us.
So you're Angela Yee?
I'm Charlamagne the God.
Who wants to be Charlamagne the God?
He's a hilarious.
I would want to be.
Yeah,
Charlamagne
you
the God.
think
He's
so?
cool.
Nice.
But I wouldn't want to be anybody. But
You want to be sniffing
if-
seats after J-Lo leaves?
I would sniff Jalen.
I would.
If you're gonna pick one person from the Breakfast Club between DJ Envy, Charlamagne,
I
and
would definitely go
Angela Yee,
Charlamagne.
you're going Charlamagne.
Yeah.
I guess you have no
easily.
choice
Who wants
because
to be DJ
no
Envy?
one. Angela Yee's cool. She just had a
She's a
birthday
woman.
bash. Whoa.
We're guys.
I guess. But I'm not going to disrespect them. Angela
I
Yee's
wouldn't want
cool.
to be DJ. DJ Envy's the last guy I'd want
Nah,
to be.
okay, I'll be honest. Charlamagne, Angela Yee, very bottom of the list. DJ Envy.
I'd rather be the chair than DJ Envy.
The chairs are pretty comfortable. They look comfortable.
Yeah, I really haven't
comfortable.
watched online to know. Only the stupid videos of them.
There's been a lot of NBA stuff that has happened this week. It's crazy that when we talk about the NFL and NBA, those two leagues, the NBA, it feels like it never stops. All year round, there's news, there's stuff to talk about. With the NFL, there feels like there's an off period where there is nothing
For sure.
to talk about, which is why we've gained such a bigger fan base in talking about the NBA, because we haven't talked about the NFL in a while. But this past week, the 3-team Lauri Markkanen trade, he gets traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers. And at first glance, when I saw this trade, I was confused. I was like, why would Lauri go to Cleveland? That was the last place I thought he was going to. And then they paid him 4 years, $67 million, which made me scratch my head even more because they just paid Jared Allen 5 years, $100 million, which means that they have $167 million tied into Jared Allen and Lauri Markkanen, yet they refuse to pay Colin Sexton, and they want to trade Colin Sexton, who is their best player. A lot of dysfunctional stuff. What are your thoughts on this 3-team trade, and how do you think it affects their recent draft pick in Evan Mobley, who was a 3rd overall pick, who was supposed to be the starting forward? Do you think he's still going to start? Is he going to come off the bench with Kevin Love? How is Cleveland going to maneuver the situation now?
Well, for starters, Portland, I think Portland got a good player. Larry Nance Jr., I think he's a really solid player. They lost
Think
Melo.
so?
Yeah, he's a really good defender. He's a good
really good.
passer.
Yeah.
He's a good screen and roller. He's good for what he does. And I think losing
For his
Melo,
role. Okay.
losing Melo and bringing in Larry Nance is definitely going to be good. It's going to help the defense because Portland is abysmal on the defensive end. So I think that's going to help. I don't think it changes the nod for them. I think they're still going to be where they're going to be. But nonetheless, it's still getting a good player in this deal. And even for Chicago, I think this is an okay move, just getting DJJ, another guy who brings that energy on the defensive end. He can come off the bench and he can play at a high level on defense. So I think
They also got a 1st-round pick.
boom, but it's protected. I think Portland
Lottery
will make,
protected.
Yeah, I think Portland will
Portland,
make
if
the
they're a
playoffs.
playoff team, it won't, you'll get that pick.
But I think, for Cleveland, this is definitely – it was confusing because, Lauri was asking for that type of money, and a lot of teams weren't really throwing it at him. Now you go to Cleveland in a position where you said $160 million to the two guys, but that's, I believe, over $200 million to them two plus Kevin Love, because Kevin Love is not –
True.
He's not doing a buyout. He wants all his money. So those three guys, that's $200 million.
$220 million
Oh,
for those three guys.
Yeah, $200+ million to
Yikes,
three
yeah.
guys. And Lauri is unproven. Jared Allen is Jared Allen. And then Kevin Love is probably cooked right now. For Cleveland, at least, he's cooked at this point. So I think
You don't think Lauri's good? Just a question.
No, I said unproven.
Okay. All right.
He's unproven.
Yep.
And I think, getting a franchise changer in Mobley, now you bring him into a fold where you have 3 big men, 2 of them who kind of play the same position as Mobley. Lauri's kind of built like Mobley to kind of play the same way in a sense, kind of inside-outside bigs who like to shoot. Jared Allen, he has that defensive presence. Mobley, you could see that a little bit in Jared Allen. But I think, their front court is log-jammed right now, and I feel like they don't know what they're doing. Like you said, they've refused to pay Colin Sexton, but they chose to pay Lauri Markkanen and Jared Allen. I don't know how that's going to go. I think Jared Allen's probably going to be traded, and they're probably going to run Lauri, Evan Mobley front court down the line. But I think, right now Cleveland is just lost, and they're just doing moves just to bring in youth at this point.
I don't hate it as much as you guys. The way you guys talked about it is like it's one of the worst moves you've ever seen. I just got to think that he's making less than $20 million a season, and for a player that's already averaged 18 points in our league and just has an issue with staying healthy, that's the main reason why the Bulls decided to move off of him. He he averaged 18 points. After that, I want to say it was 15, but then this most recent year, I want to say it was 13. So I understand that he definitely has regressed in that sense, but he has been able to stay healthy. Now, I'm looking at it from their perspective. You lose Larry Nance, who offensively really didn't provide you much. I think he averaged 9 points last season. But you mentioned he's a really solid defender, athletic, big man. And it's going to hurt losing him, but I don't think it's going to hurt too much given the fact that they have a guy like Mobley and that he's going to move into that position with ease, in my opinion. So then now, by the Cavaliers going and investing in Markkanen, they really invested, 16 million a season into Lauri, something.
Well, $6 million on the fourth year is only guaranteed, only $6 million of it.
So regardless of that, as a guy like Lauri, who has shown when he's healthy to be a pretty efficient ball scorer, a good shooter for his size, I don't hate the move, especially with the lineup that they're putting out there now. You have in that front court, you have Mobley, you have Jared Allen, you have Caleb off the bench, and now you have Lauri. That is a very firm group of guys. And for Mobley, I understand that, like you said, how does this play into how he's going to have a role on this team? I don't think it impacts him at all. I think Lauri's going to be a guy off the bench. I think Mobley is still going to get a good chunk of the minutes, but Lauri's going to be a big piece for them off the bench, and he's going to be someone that's going to try and take advantage of the second unit, because against first unit, we saw what he can do. He's a pretty good scorer. Against second
he came off the bench.
I thought he was a starter for you guys at one point.
Then he came off the bench.
Yeah. Oh no, for sure. It's the fact that he couldn't stay healthy. It was impossible to keep him in that constant starter position because you can't really get any kind of chemistry if you're not on the court for obvious reasons. So I feel like there was not really a risk that they took here. So that's why I don't hate the move.
When talking about this move, contrary to the name of the show, Pick a Side, I'm going to be in the middle and give you guys different perspectives from each side. The reason why I didn't start in Chicago last year is because Thaddeus Young was better. Thaddeus Young is a better player, and I think when talking about Larry Nance and Thad Young,
kind of same.
They are similar players. Lauri Markkanen, he can score, but the question is, are the Cavs getting 2018 Lauri, which averaged close to 19 and 9 rebounds, or are they getting last year Lauri, who played unmotivated and who can't play defense at all? Because Lauri, we know he can be a floor spacer, but is that all he's going to be? That's my major question, because he's an abysmal defender.
For sure.
Maybe Mobley can mask some of those deficiencies, but Lauri, that's why no team wanted to give him that much money, because there are too many question marks. The reason why I don't like Lauri off the bench is because if you have Allen and Mobley starting, that means your bench is Lauri and Kevin Love. That sounds defensively abysmal.
Yep.
That's not what I want to do. So if I'm Cleveland, I'm looking at it from this perspective. I want Mobley or Allen at the 5, and I want Love or Lauri starting at the 4. So I can have a combination of Mobley and Love, or Mobley and Lauri coming off the bench, or Allen and Love and Allen and Lauri coming off the bench. If I were Cleveland, I would start Mobley. He is the 3rd overall pick. Most people can say that he was the 2nd best prospect in this draft in terms of potential and ceiling. He's the only freshman in college basketball history to have a positive plus minus. The other guys were Zion, were Tim Duncan, Anthony Davis. So Evan Mobley is in a list with all-stars in that category. You have to start him day one. There's no doubt about it. I think you have to start him. That's why I think, alluding to what you said, they probably do trade Jared Allen. But if they don't trade him, what's happened? I think there are a bunch of question marks. And that's why with Cleveland, I'm kind of having a hard time understanding this trade, because they pay 2 guys in Lauri and Allen, yet they refuse to pay Sexton. Yet Sexton has been on the trade block. I don't get that at all. Mm-hmm. But you can't deny that Cleveland does have talent, right? You have Garland, you have Sexton, you have Herro, you have Lauri, you have Mobley now, and you have a mix of veterans with Kevin Love, Rubio, and Osman. There is talent on this team, but I'm afraid to say that I think it's a bunch of pieces that don't fit. They have the wrong pieces to a puzzle. Garland and Sexton, their play styles don't fit. Mobley and Allen, We haven't seen them play yet, but just off of how I know their play styles are, you can say they don't fit. The only guys that play styles fit on the team are Lauri and Mobley. They can fit together pretty well. And Herro is kind of floating. He's a floater. You're not sure what he's going to be yet. He's just floating around. That's why I'm not too high on this trade. You know, Lauri has potential. Is he going to achieve it? I'm not sure, because last year, one of the biggest knocks on him was that he played unmotivated. He played lazy. He didn't give effort. And now that he just got paid and got a bag, is he going to do the same thing? I mean, last year was a contract year for him, basically. I'm not sure. As for Portland, I think Larry Nance was huge. I think Larry Nance is a better player than Lauri Markkanen. I do. And last year, Cleveland's defense was so good because Larry Nance was so versatile on the defensive side of the floor. He's a good roller. He shoots 36% from three. Larry Nance is a good player. And if I'm Portland, I'm starting Larry Nance.
You have to.
I'm starting Covington, Nance, and Nurkic, and that's my front court, and Dame and CJ in the back
I didn't
court.
like Covington at the 4. I never really liked that move. I feel like Nance definitely fills that role at the 4 defensively for them.
For sure.
And Portland, with CJ and Dame, they need players that can defend around them. I think Covington and Nance, they bring that. Nurkic as a rim protector, he brings that. I think they'll be better in their bench with Norman Powell. He can have a Jordan Clarkson-esque role. He's been averaging 15 the last 2 seasons. Norman Powell, he just likes to get his shot off, and I think getting Nance allows them to move away from a Norman Powell starting lineup where CJ, Dame, and Powell are all under 6'4". And you have no size to defend. You know, Powell is a good defender, but he's too small. So I think this gives them leeway to have a taller guy. And Portland said they're all in on building around Dame. So let's see if they make other moves. And from Chicago standpoint, look, Derrick Jones Jr., he's a good dude off the bench. I think Portland paid him last year because they wanted to use him as a defensive stopper, but you can only play him in spurts because his jump shot is unreliable. And Derrick Jones Jr. in Chicago coming off the bench with Kobe White, Caruso, I think that's a start to something. But what I like about this trade most is that they got a first-round pick and also a second-round pick from Cleveland, but it's via Denver. I like the first-round pick because you gave up 3 to get Vucevic and DeRozan. Now you just got one back, and that's a start. It shows that AK, even though he gave up assets to get these all-stars, he's getting assets back. So he's building up that chest. He's trying to plan for the future while trying to win now, and I like that. I like what AK is doing. He's doing a great job. He's from Seton Hall. You know he's going to do a great job, man.
Yeah,
shout out to the
my
pirate.
only thing is with Lauri, you know, like you said, he played with no confidence last year. He played lazy, but a lot of that was really Jim Boland, man. A lot of Jim Boland, I feel like stole the confidence out of Lauri, you know. And I think,
Boylan?
Yeah, whatever his name is, he's terrible, but he stole the confidence out of Lauri, and that's another thing that, you know. Do you trust in Cleveland's coaching staff? Do you trust in their player development to get Lauri back to that guy he was his rookie season? You know, can you get him back to being that player? Back to his rising to his potential, you know, being that floor. You know, he's projected to be the next Porzingis, you know, before Porzingis, you know, was obvious what he is. Pre-draft,
I saw Lauri's tape, and I said, I remember this vividly because this was when I was still in high school, and I was in a calculus class, and I was failing, so I used to sit in the back. My teacher used to tell me, look, if you have to come to class, just sit in the back. You can do what you want to do. I said, okay. So I went to the back. I used to just, you know, scout college players. Lauri Markkanen, when I first saw him in this game, I said, this guy's Porzingis. He's going to be really good at the next level. And for the first couple of years, I was right. You know, 15 his rookie year, then he averaged 18 in 2018. He was good. If he can get back to that, there's a chance that the Cavs found a diamond in the rough. But that's a big question mark. Because I think
him and Mobley would really fit together if Lauri can get back to that rookie second-year type of guy, that floor space. Them two will fit seamlessly because Mobley can play inside and out, and Lauri can stretch the floor. It's just defensively. Lauri is really bad at that. Like, he's Kevin Love-like.
So you were asking about the Colin Sexton, you know, the rumors behind him getting traded. I think I understand that a little bit because free agents aren't coming to Cleveland. That's a known fact. It really doesn't happen. Even when LeBron was there, no big free agents came and joined him. Now, I'm thinking that they're thinking long-term. They don't think that Colin Sexton's going to be the guy to win them a piece. But they know that, you know, people value Colin Sexton's talent, and, you know, you could probably get a decent amount for him at this time. Now, if you're not getting free agents, you need to get it somewhere else. And we saw Memphis, how, they've made a good portion of their moves through the draft, and it's worked out to a certain degree. Do you think that they're going to try and take that same approach?
The reason why I don't think so is because, for one, when you talk about Colin Sexton, I don't think he's valued around the league. I don't. And the reason why Cleveland didn't move him is because all of the offers they got were pennies on a dollar. For example, the Knicks offer was Obi Toppin, Kevin Knox, and 2 firsts for Colin Sexton. That's not a great deal for a guy who's averaging 25 points per game. I know that free agents don't go to Cleveland, but Colin Sexton is their best player.
For sure.
And there's no doubt about it. One day, is Darius Garland going to be better?
I think so.
I believe so, because Darius Garland, I think, has a chance to be special. One of the top point guards in this league. I think a top 10 point guard in this league for sure. He reminds me of a Kemba Walker. Kind of a Kemba Walker. I think he gets to that point. But Colin Sexton, right now, you got to still stick with him. And the fact that you paid Lauri, you paid Jared Allen, doesn't sit right with me because Colin Sexton is left high and dry. Kevin Love has 2 more years on his deal where he's getting paid $30 million each year. If Cleveland has $220 million invested into Lauri, Kevin Love, and Mobley, where is Colin Sexton going to get paid from? Is Cleveland going to pay him? Are they going to let him walk?
But would you give him the contract that he's probably asking for right now? And do you think he's worth that contract?
If I'm Cleveland and I just gave Jared Allen $20 million a year, I have no problem giving Colin Sexton $25 to $28 million a year.
Okay.
I have no problem with that.
Okay.
Well, once we talk about 30 and like 35 million,
okay. That's probably what he's asking for.
Yeah, okay. In that territory, I get it.
Colin's going to use that.
Of course.
And, he's going to walk in like, yo, bro, you just paid Jared Allen. Like, not even, you just paid Lauri about 16, 17. You paid Jared 20. Colin is better than both of those guys significantly. You got to give him, you got to give him about 25 million. And that's okay because at the position you're in right now, your team is young. Darius is young. Okoro is young. Sexton is young. Like, you have a young team, so you can still see where this goes. But, on Colin's sake, it looks like the player he is now is probably what he's going to be in the next couple of years.
You think so?
Yeah.
I feel like he still has to add playmaking to that, and I think that he can do that. So I don't think that that statement's fully.
I feel like he'll just be a CJ.
Okay. And would you be upset with that?
It depends if Garland's a Dame.
Do you think Garland's a Dame, though?
You think a CJ?
What I mean by that is more just like a scoring 2 in this league. Like he's known around the league. We know who he is, but he isn't going to be that all-star.
I personally think he's more Monte Ellis.
That's better than CJ.
I know. I think he's better than CJ, though. I think Colin Sexton's better than CJ.
Well, I mean, that's hard to say because we've seen CJ in high-stakes moments and in playoff series.
I was going to say, I don't think he's better than CJ yet. I think he can be better
But, I mean, he can be that
for
Garland because I feel like they're really waiting for Garland to be that point guard. And I feel like if you can be a CJ, if Colin can be that CJ next to Garland, and Garland can be that type of point, like you said, a top 10 point guard in the league, and then you got the generational Mobley, then I think they'll be fine with Colin Sexton. But I think it really depends on what Mobley and Garland are going to be.
Yep.
And, of course, Okoro. They're expecting him to be, like, locked down.
That was you.
I love Okoro. I love him. He was good.
He was. All right.
He's more of a 2.
Because he's small. He's like 6'6".
That's why that's why I think if Okoro can ascend this year, it's easier to move off of Sexton.
Yep.
Because I don't think Okoro is a natural 3. That's why I think their best lineup would have been, drafting Kuminga and having him be the 3. But then the spacing on that team with Garland, Okoro, and Kuminga.
Garland would have been double teamed.
And not having Mobley would have been
tough.
Yeah, not.
But if you got Lauri and Allen,
stop.
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying from their perspective, I mean, you have those positions filled.
I mean, look, they got 2 years of Kevin Love, so
And Kevin Love said he doesn't want to be bought out.
Yeah, so
he's gonna get that bread.
This year is coming up. Then after you got 1 more year, and then
and why would he? Because
you don't think they try and trade him to get rid of the contract?
He's wants that contract. I think he's untradeable right now.
Yeah, you're right.
And the thing with Kevin Love is that, man, this is his last payday. After
that's why he don't want to do a buyout.
If you're not getting this bread from Cleveland, $30 million a year. I mean, what is Kevin Love getting? $5 million at most a year, $10 million at most,
at minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One day we have to do a topic on what happened to Kevin Love because I think his career has been a roller coaster.
LeBron. That's an easy answer. LeBron.
Yeah, because he got too many
LeBron and
Draymond
Draymond Green. That's what I would say. LeBron and Draymond Green is what happened.
Yeah, Draymond Green had him in hell. Poor guy.
I don't know. I'm gonna blame it on Kevin Love because he didn't turn back to what he used to be after LeBron left.
He was talking
about
it.
Because at least Bosh showed flashes and was.
Well, Kevin Love was talking about it on the shop. He was very depressed and he was going through extreme anxiety. So it was a lot of that being, in this situation. But that's a topic for another day.
Yeah, when you're in the finals every year and the spotlight's always on your play.
When you come from averaging 25 and 13 and you get reverted to a spot up shooter as a big, it's kind of like annoying,
He definitely was used more as a spot-up shooter than he was in Minnesota, but it wasn't as if we just threw him in the corner and said, you're not going to get any work down low. That's not true.
They kind of did do that.
Definitely did that.
Go look at the finals. There was moments.
Okay, you can talk about 7 games. Let's talk about the totality of a season. He was definitely reverted to doing that.
I'm saying, he definitely was asked to be more of
yeah.
For sure, but I'm saying there were definitely moments
and
where
he hates playing with Colin Sexton.
Which I understand because he's not passing him the rock. But then again, would you pass Kevin Love the rock right now or be Colin Sexton and get the bucket yourself?
It depends.
I think I would.
If Kevin Love is wide open.
Oh, if he's wide open, but we've seen him wide open and miss.
Okay, that's fair.
Colin Sexton's one of the best young players in the game right now.
He's not even top 10.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
But he's one of the best young players in the league.
He might not be top 15.
Okay, that's fine. He's still one of the best young players in the league.
If you're like, come on, bro. We just said 15.
All right, excuse me. One of the better young players.
That's what I was going to say.
That's fair.
Yeah.
One of the best is like 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, like top 10. Like you touching. You know what I'm saying?
All right, whatever you guys want to say. Fine, I'm cool with it.
Getting Lauri was kind of just getting a younger Kevin Love, but at this stage in his career.
Kevin Love is all right defensively. Lauri's bad defensively.
And Kevin Love has flashes in the finals, but in totality, no, he's a horrible defender.
Oh, no, I agree.
He's a walking cone.
Yeah. Now, at this point in his career, for sure.
Lauri Markkanen was one of the better power forwards, or I'll say the best power forward on the free agent market this past free agency. I think the second one is still available. His name is Paul Millsap, and Drew is not enthusiastic at all about this topic because he doesn't like Paul Millsap because he embarrassed LeBron before.
When?
Now I'm playing.
Yeah, I was going to say.
He's not enthusiastic at all about this topic, but there are teams that are interested in Paul Millsap and what he can bring to their team. The 4 teams that are interested in getting him are the Warriors, the Nets, Chicago, and the Clippers. In your opinion, what team do you think fits Paul Millsap the best, and which team can he contribute to the most?
It's got to be my guys, man. It's got to be the Bulls. I think
both questions.
What was the first question?
Contribute more
and fit.
Best fit.
Oh, well, contribute more. I feel like the Clippers already have that in Nicholas Batum. They already have kind of like a Paul Millsap type guy.
Okay.
Marcus Morris is there too. So I don't fit. He would be a good fit, but I don't think he would get a lot of minutes there. And then, what was the other 2 teams you mentioned?
Bulls, Nets.
The Nets, Warriors, and
the Nets, I don't know. I feel like the Nets with Claxton, BG, they just got James Johnson. I mean, he can definitely be used, but I don't really think he'd be a good fit, but I don't think they need him right now. So I really think that my boys, Chicago, we need a guy like that, somebody with veteranship, some leadership. He has intangibles that couldn't be used. He can teach guys. He's been in deep playoff runs. He's been to the ECF. He's been to, the WCF. He's been in the playoffs for a long time. He's been
battle-tested.
He's been on 60-win teams with the Hawks. He's been in an all-star game. So, he has a lot of knowledge that he could bring to that game. And plus, like you named our bench before, Kobe White, Alex Caruso, DJJ, Tony Bradley, and another guy that
Troy Brown Jr.
Oh, my God, Troy Brown Jr. I think, we can get Paul Millsap, and he can be one of those guys that come off the bench and still, he's a good passer. He's a good shooter. He's a good defender. He's a good rebounder. So you get somebody like that can, that's a bit of a jack of all trades. Chicago, man. Best fit, best place, man, easily.
I'm surprised you didn't say the Warriors. Because that's what
I feel like Kuminga and Moses Moody.
But I think he would be the small ball 5 there and replace Kayvon Looney. That's what I'm thinking, too.
And defensively.
You think he'll start over
Kayvon
Looney?
No, I don't. I wouldn't say that.
Stop.
I would have no problem with him starting over Kevon Looney.
That I agree with that
You guys
sentiment.
gotta
but
watch
I d-
Kevon
exactly.
Come on, man,
Kevon-
stop it.
Kevon actually is
Defensively,
pretty
he's
solid
better.
Yeah.
He's not
Millsap
better
right
than
now.
Millsap.
No, I'm saying defensively.
No, he is not.
You're crazy.
No, he's not.
Millsap's pretty nice defensively, though.
Come on, bro.
I'm not saying he's. I mean,
alright.
it's.
We're talking about
it's
Kevon
close.
Looney right now, bro.
Kevon Looney's not bad. He's just
Serious.
I watched the Warriors.
Kevon Looney's like 6'9".
What the hell
Millsap
is
is
6'7"?
Millsap is 6'7", but he can shoot the 3 ball.
That's fair.
But I'll say even off the bench, you could start Wiseman again. See, you know,
So you
if
have
he's
Wiseman
developed.
and you have Kevon Looney. They're not losing. They're not going to give Kevon Looney's minutes to anybody but Wiseman. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not
If
even trying to be
Wiseman
funny.
starts and Millsap is off the bench, small ball 5, and Kevon Looney doesn't get burned, I'd be fine
I
with
don't
that.
think the
I'm
Warriors
saying
want
the
that
Warriors
either.
will not. Kerr is going to play Kevon
They've been
Looney.
loyal to Kevon for
Yeah, he's
years
gonna play.
now.
Come on, bro. They started him last year. Like, he's going to play.
All
That's
right,
Paul
so
Millsap.
then that's what I'm saying. I think Paul Millsap would be a firm pickup for the Warriors. Fit wise, probably get the most burn out of all the. I feel like he probably get burn on the Bulls too. Definitely not the Nets, but for the Warriors' sake, their big thing, other than obviously being the best shooting team in the league, is defense. Paul Millsap is a solid defender. I want to say a few years ago he had a defensive rating of 102, something like that. That's pretty amazing.
It's tough, especially in this era.
And especially that you have Draymond on that squad. Like you mentioned, Kevon Looney, a solid defender. You just add to that front court with Paul Millsap, who can stretch the floor, shoot the 3, which only plays into exactly what the Warriors do as a squad.
I just feel like they already have that in JTA.
I agree, but Millsap is definitely more proven,
And that's-
has the
you know,
experience, would
you gotta-
allow a guy like him to
you gotta think about
learn
you-
more
you
about
would
the
want-
game too.
The bench would be Kuminga,
Moody,
Poole, Millsap, JTA, and Looney.
That's not horrible.
Then you rush out a 5-man of Poole, Moody, let's say Kuminga, he's gonna play, and then
Listen, you gotta
JTA and
stop.
Millsap.
You gotta stop.
I'm
man.
not saying Millsap is
We
bad.
didn't say Otto Porter either.
Otto Porter probably
Another
start
one.
No, you gotta
You
stop.
think?
You
because
gotta
Clay's
stop.
not coming back until Christmas.
I don't know about that.
You gotta stop with this JTA and Looney are playing over Millsap. That's Paul Millsap.
No, Looney is gonna. No, I'm not saying play. Looney is going to play. He's gonna play. You can say whatever you want.
No, Looney's gonna play.
Looney
Yes.
is gonna play.
Yes.
JTA has earned his spot where he's gonna play too. I'm not saying over Millsap.
If Millsap gets there,
But that front
spot
court
is
is
taken.
terrible.
But he's a better Toscano Anderson.
no, he's better.
But that's what I'm saying. So why wouldn't you take Millsap, especially the guy who could make Toscano also better, just being in the
Look,
locker room?
I agree that I think the Warriors do have a loaded front court because if Millsap gets there, now you're taking minutes away from either Kuminga or Porter. Bielitsa's there too. You know, what is he going to do? I'm not quite too sure. Chicago, you're right. I think that, you know, he can improve their bench a lot. Will it be enough to be better than what the Knicks have going on? It won't be enough. But they'll be much
When's that
improved.
bet dropping? When's that bet dropping? Who finishes higher seeding? Bulls or Knicks?
We didn't even discuss that bet yet.
It's on. We were
That's
talking
about to be a topic
we're
soon
focused on
too.
the Hawks right now.
Yeah.
I think Millsap would help them. You know, Kobe White, Millsap, I think are pretty cool. I think Caruso's not that good, man. I'm just going to be honest. I think he's okay, but
He went from not that good.
he is not that good, man. If he's your backup point
Bad
guard, I
take.
think you need to reconsider who
you guys
your point guard is.
won 40+ games with Alfred Payton. We'll be fine, bro.
Yeah, and
we'll be fine.
Caruso is eons better
Yeah,
than
we'll be
Alfred
fine,
Payton's
bro.
bum
I don't know if
ass.
it's Eon's better.
Eon's
No,
is
he
crazy.
is.
He's better, but Eon's
He's
is a little
better.
wild.
Nah,
Slightly.
I'm sorry. Alfred Payton could be out of the league next season. He's trash.
Caruso, he's on the Suns.
Really?
Yeah.
How much burn is he going to get on the Suns?
So I'm not sure, but I'm saying he's on the Suns.
Okay.
I'm saying that Caruso, come on, man. He's
He
mediocre.
benefited off of LeBron.
Not that he benefited. I just think he's mediocre. You know, I know he's become this meme and this fan favorite, but in all honesty, he's an average player. He's probably below average, honestly.
Love you, Caruso.
He's not a starting point guard and below average backup, in my opinion.
below average.
Below average backup.
Yeah,
God
that's a
damn.
bad-
Is he better than Gigi Augustine?
He's better than Alfred Payton. You started him. Like, stop
But
doing that.
DJ Augustine's a backup. Is he hold up?
Okay, go ahead.
What is Corey Joseph in the NBA?
A backup point guard.
Is he a good backup point guard?
He's okay.
He's okay. Is Caruso
They're on the same level. They're
is
on the same
Caruso
level.
better than is Caruso better than Corey Joseph?
They're probably on the same level.
You think
Caruso's
so?
a little bit better. Maybe because of
No,
defense.
I think Corey Joseph is better.
Why?
Yeah, why? Please. That's a really good
He's
question.
a better playmaker and he can shoot better.
Okay,
than
but Caruso's a
Caruso.
better defender. That's where
Caruso's
his
not a bad
niche
shooter.
is.
Joseph's
either.
not a bad defender though.
But Caruso's better.
Caruso
He's a
is
good
nice.
Why
passer.
do y'all think he's like lockup, bro? He's not lockup.
He's a better defender than Corey Joseph.
Maybe slightly, but he's not lockup,
Oh
bro.
my goodness.
I'm just
What
saying,
did Caruso do to you?
didn't do nothing.
Is
But
it
I
because
just
he was
think
on the list
he's
over
just
RJ?
so overhyped.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
it's
it was.
definitely-
so
That's what it
overhyped.
was.
He's so
Well-
overhyped. I would like that for Chicago, but I'm really upset at what you guys said about the Nets. You guys brushed off the Nets like you brushed them off. You brushed them off completely when you said that you don't think he's going to get burned on the Nets. Why? Why wouldn't he get burned on the Nets?
Because then Claxton gets thrown to the side, and that's all Nets fans have been talking about is Claxton is
I
up
double down
next.
on that.
If Claxton, why would Claxton get thrown to the side though?
Because then who else is
I double
Blake
down.
getting tossed to the side?
I double down.
But
Obviously.
Blake can be the 4 or
KD
a
plays
5
the 4
either.
too, though. There,
But KD can play the 3 though.
But he's most likely
we know
playing
KD's
the 4.
interchangeable. But okay, who's the Nets backup centers though?
let me see. Let's see. Okay, so Kyrie. Let's say Harden.
No, let's not even talk about them. Let's just talk about the front court. DeAndre Jordan, they're already talking about buying him out.
So
and getting rid of him.
the guys are getting him in. So Claxton.
So right
BG,
now,
KD.
the centers are Blake Claxton, Day'Ron Sharp, DeAndre Jordan, and at the 4 spot, you got KD, but behind KD is who?
BG,
Alize Johnson,
James Johnson,
Kessler Edwards, Raekwon Gray.
Cam's a 3.
It's
I'm
a bunch
assuming.
of
Cam's a 3.
Cam's a 2. Cam Thomas is
He's
2.
like
Okay.
6'2".
No, he's
Is he
6'4",
really?
bro. He's 6'4". He's 6'4".
Okay.
He's not 6'4".
Yes, he is 6'4".
He's not 6'4".
Search it up, Drew.
Is he
Come
6'4"?
on.
Really?
Yes, he's 6'4".
He seems so little.
Come on, man. He's taller than James Bucknight.
James is 6'5", bro.
Oh, yeah, he's not taller than James Bucknight. But I'm just saying, with the Nets, I think Paul Millsap is the perfect Nets player in terms of he can be their small ball 5. He can
6'5".
be their 4.
Oh, okay. You mean perfect Nets fair as in opposed to like just a guy who can go.
I mean,
there
we
and do
know
nothing?
that Paul Millsap, he's a great defender. He can shoot the ball. With the Nets, I think he's a better defender than Blake. So if he goes to the Nets, he can be that small ball 5. And even if you place him at the 4, if you have a lineup out there
So
of
if he's
Kyrie,
a small ball 5, where is Claxton gonna be? Because BG's a small ball 5.
I mean, the other day on this podcast, you told me that you don't think Claxton is starting.
But my point
But I'm
is,
talking to
but
you,
believe,
though.
exactly,
You believe that.
Claxton's
So I'm speaking
nice.
to you.
Which
I
I'm
think
not saying
Claxton.
he's not
I
good,
think Claxton
but-
is good.
So this is year 3.
I think Claxton is good,
Gonna
but,
toss him
but
to the
we
side?
all know that the Nets closing lineup isn't going to feature Claxton. They're going to feature a guy who can space the floor.
I agree.
Which is why Blake plays a 5. But if you have Millsap, now you can have Kyrie, KD,
So basically, just
Harden.
plug in Millsap.
Yeah, Millsap and Blake, because Joe Harris disappears in late game moments. You can have that lineup. And Blake Griffin, he's not known to be the most durable guy throughout his career.
Sure.
So having Paul Millsap there is perfect. I think he's the perfect Nets player. You can plug him in. And I'll be honest, I like Blake Griffin, but I'm not comfortable with him starting at the 5. That's why I would start
Why are you not
Claxton.
comfortable?
I'm just not comfortable with him starting at the
Like
5.
in terms of in the East, like
I just think that off the bench he's much better. I think he's much better off the bench. I'm more comfortable with starting Millsap than Blake because I think I get more defense with Millsap, and he's not much of a rim protector, but he does get vertical at times, but he's definitely an upgrade over Blake because Blake has small arms, so he can't contest shots as well as Millsap. And even though Blake shot well last year from 3, I trust Millsap's track record from 3 more than I do Blake's.
BG guarded Giannis pretty well for the most part.
For the first 2 games, and then
Millsap
even
won't
say
do.
that-
Is Millsap really going to do better?
He'll do better. Yeah, he will do better.
What's better?
But he's old. He is old.
He's 36.
Yeah.
He's old.
That's like
Wait, why'd you say the age like it was going to be young or something?
you're telling me he's old when
You're the
the
Lakers.
top 10 oldest players in the league are on the Lakers.
I knew you were going to do
There's
that.
like
People
there's
said
like
we were a retirement
there's like
home.
5 of it. There's like 5 of 10
5 of the
Lakers that are
10, yep.
30 that are
I
like
take pride
on
in
top
that,
10
baby.
oldest in the league.
Go.
It's going to be,
I'm just saying I think Chicago's a good place, but I think the best team that he can contribute the most to is the Nets. I really do think
In
that.
terms of what, though? 'Cause I feel like he's going to get more burn with us.
I would get more burn with you.
We don't have a bench big.
You don't think that Millsap can be the Nets 6 man
No, because I
No.
think Joe Harris would be.
Yep.
if he starts?
And
then
then
what
Patty
about
Mills.
Cam?
Because
And what
right
about
right
Patty
now
Mills?
right now their projected starting lineup is
Say the lineup.
Harden, Kyrie, Harris, KD, Blake.
So then you got Mills
So
off
Patty.
the bench and then Millsap.
So Mills,
it'll be kind of the same like
Millsap,
us.
Claxton,
Yeah, okay.
But Bruce Brown, but I don't think Bruce Brown is getting that 6-man role because we know Bruce Brown is.
In the playoffs, he did have that 6-man role.
He started for them.
Did he really?
You told us Joe wasn't going to start. You did. Don't.
I did say that because I wouldn't start Joe because I think Bruce Brown is better defensively. I think they started Bruce Brown at the 5 in the playoffs. I could be wrong about that.
I believe they did.
Yeah, they started Bruce Brown at the 5.
Which is terrible.
Which is why I think they need a big man. We know that the Nets, their problem all year long was a big man. And even though Millsap isn't 7 foot, I think he can fill that small ball role, and that would be an upgrade. And I'm hoping that Claxton develops in his 3rd year. He adds more muscle. Why are you hoping? Because even though I think Blake and Millsap are small ball fives.
But why are you hoping?
Because I want the Nets to win a chip.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to get that out. Oh, okay.
Yes,
I wanted to make that be very known to the media why you hope. Okay.
Yeah, because I'm a James Harden fan. That's my favorite guy.
I just wanted to make that be known.
All Knicks fans are screaming.
Just wanted to make that be.
If you've been listening to this podcast, you know that I've been saying this for a while. I mean, James Harden is my guy. He's my guy.
Is he your guy over the Knicks? Like, if it's Harden or the Knicks, who are you taking?
If the Knicks are championship contenders,
if they're both champions, who are you taking?
The Nets are playing the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Who are you taking?
Who are you rooting for right now? Give me an answer. This is enough for me to. You don't even have to say a word.
The fact that you're thinking about it means James Harden.
This.
I'm rooting for James Harden.
I knew it.
Oh my God!
You're not
rooting for James Harden.
Oh my God! Oh, that's
no
tough.
way.
I'm rooting for James Harden.
How could you do that to New York?
Because it's James Harden. That's my guy. That's my guy.
In New York?
That's my guy.
I respect it.
Yeah, that's my guy.
I respect
I've been through hell and back.
The only thing I respect is the
Harden.
honesty.
No, I respect
That's it.
James Harden's this guy.
I've been wanting Harden to win the ring, for a while, man. So that's my guy.
I respect it. You ask me, Bulls or Steph. I'm 365 days. You know who I'm taking. So it's not even a question. It's not even a question. I respect it. You got to go with your guy.
Fair enough.
I think last year the Nets' biggest problem was having a big man, which is why I think it's crucial that Claxton develops into a defensive presence because even though Millsap and Blake
they don't have the size.
And Bruce Brown are fine as small ball fives, you need somebody who can actually be a defensive stopper, who can be a intimidating force down low. You see 6'6" Millsap, you're not that scared of going to the basket and just trying to take it on him, especially at 36. You probably think you could dunk on him, honestly.
Facts.
So you're not that scared of it.
Giannis, it's lit.
With Claxton, you're thinking about it twice because he's like 7 foot. He has long arms. He is skinny right now, but I think this offseason he's added some muscle. So I'm hoping he comes back better, man. I think the Nets are the best team that Millsap can go to, and I would love to see it because I think the Nets should be favorites to win the championship.
What's your order? They are actually favorites. It's them plus 240, and then you guys coming in 350.
Okay.
So
all right, not good value enough yet.
No, that's great. You two are the favorites. So when you don't make it and when you lose, I'm gonna laugh at you, and I'm gonna laugh at you.
Who would beat the Nets?
Well, you're gonna get hurt again, so that's gonna happen again.
I mean, you all right? Okay.
Yeah, and then you guys, we're gonna beat y'all. So
who's we?
W.
Oh my God, man!
We're gonna beat you guys. So
no, you're not.
So put in order real quick, just so I can, best fit for Millsap. You got Nets.
I think it's Nets. I think it's Bulls, Warriors 3, and last is Clippers because I think the Clippers, like you said, Morris, Batum. I'm forgetting one more guy, but I know that he's there. Let me try to see.
Ibaka is still there, or
talk about T-Man?
I thought Man
I'm talking about Ibaka.
Oh, okay.
Ibaka, yeah. And I think once Kawhi comes back, now that forward spot gets very slim.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, the Clippers, I think, need as much help as they can get right now because without Kawhi in this loaded West, don't be surprised if by Christmas they're not in the playoff race. I'm just saying, don't be surprised if by the All-Star break they're not in the playoff race.
I'm not worried because by the end of the regular season, they'll be 5th, 6th seed.
That's you expecting Kawhi's going to come back off that.
I'm not
ACL.
expecting Kawhi to come back. I expect him to be there for the playoffs while we'll be in at the 5th, 6th seed.
If Paul George doesn't make the playoffs, bro, just know people are going to be on him.
They're going to be on him if he makes it.
And Reggie Jackson has been injury prone. He's the starting point guard.
I gave.
No, I'm saying people though in general. They're going to be on him.
I gave him his credit.
They're going to be on him.
But you're right.
Yeah. So. Okay. So you have Warriors.
I think I have Warriors. I'd go Bulls and then I'd go Nets.
Cool. So we're all in agreement. Clips is dead last.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Clippers are last.
As long as we're in agreement there.
Ben Simmons today, there was a report that came out that he is not going to report for the 76ers training camp. And I know before the podcast, Riv was upset about it because these athletes can just choose when to not go to work and still get paid for it. What did you say exactly?
That's literally what I said.
Verbatim.
That's what you
Verbatim.
said.
Exactly what I said.
And that's why you're pissed off about it. And Ben Simmons, to this point, I mean, he's playing the victim right now, I think, in this situation when he's the guy that himself did not get better. I think the fan base is annoyed by his lack of a desire to get better, at least at jump shooting. And I think they have some I think they're right to believe that. Then again, I do think it's a case of fan entitlement because I think fans kind of go overboard sometimes, like the Met situation with Baez and Lindor.
Yep.
How do you feel about that? I'm just curious.
I'm with the players because you know what?
I'm with the players too.
with the players. I get it. The fans have been brutal all season long. So you know what? There's finally players that are giving them a taste of their own medicine. But at the same time, they're professionals. You need to understand that booing is a part of the game. You can't just go into the media and say, yeah, we're booing them back. You do it in silence. You just say, that's between me and the team. And you keep it going.
The Mets started losing, right?
Losing? That's an understatement, bruv. They've been trash.
It was in the playoffs.
But they won today, actually, right after all this happened.
It was talking
But that's why, like,
too.
in some situations, I'm with the players because I think fans can be brutal.
For sure.
And you can't expect players to have a mentality of where, okay, you boo me and you were saying you hate me and you're throwing all this negativity at me. Then when I finally play good, you want to love me again.
Yep.
As a player, you can't expect these guys to just take that. At some point, you're like, you know what? F these fans. I'm going to play good for myself. If these fans like me, cool. But at the end of the day, F these fans because they're fickle. They're not riding with me if we're bad and we're good, But on to this Ben Simmons thing. It has been reported that he is interested in playing for 3 California teams. I'm guessing that's the Warriors, the Sacramento Kings,
or the Clippers.
And maybe the Clippers or the Lakers. Or it could be the Lakers, Clippers, and
I don't think it's the
Golden
Lakers.
State.
We don't have enough to get him.
I think it's the Clippers. The people with enough, it would be the Clippers, the Kings, the Warriors.
Yep.
But a report also came out that Minnesota is trying to get Ben Simmons as badly as possible. And Pat Bev just liked the tweet, I believe, saying that he wants Ben to come to Minnesota, which is ironic.
Because he would be a part of the trade.
Because Pat Bev would be a part of the trade package if Ben Simmons were to go to Minnesota. In your opinion, what team do you think has the best trade package to get Ben Simmons? Because Toronto has been in the mix as well. So do you think it's the Timberwolves, it's the Raptors, it's the Sacramento Kings, the Warriors, the Clippers, the Lakers? Where's your mind on that?
Well, it's interesting because this man has digressed since his rookie year. And
Regressed. You say it every podcast.
I do, right? And you guys correct me every single time.
I just want you to remember
Digress is like
I'm gonna stop talking. I'm just gonna.
I digress.
Yeah. Got it. So regress. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Like if you say something and I'm done with the debate, I'm like I digress.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why we're a team. Yeah. Word. He has regressed since his rookie year. It's really sad, honestly. And it's funny because Ben doesn't need a jump shot. Let me not say that. Ben doesn't need a jump shot to be aggressive. He can still be aggressive without a jump shot. Attacking the rim. Getting in the post-up game, finishing at the basket. We've seen guys in the end. DeMar DeRozan doesn't take threes. He's still effective, putting up 20 points a game. Ben can be aggressive without taking threes. It's just fans are tired of the lack of aggression, especially come crunch time. And this year affected them so much because Embiid finally was playing at an MVP level. They were the #1 seed in the East. The Nets were hurt. It was like, all right, all we got to see is Milwaukee and Atlanta. It's go time. Like, we have a real opportunity to go to the finals and beat Phoenix. I feel like Philly had a strong possibility to beat Phoenix. With Embiid, I don't think he had – Ayton had no answer for him. They had Ben. They had Seth playing like a star.
Tobias
who was finally consistent for once. Matisse Thybulle was doing what he do on the defensive end. So I feel like they had a real opportunity. And Ben just let, God in his own head. So I think, I like the Timberwolves. I think the Timberwolves have a lot of young talent. Malik Beasley's a bucket. D'Angelo Russell, I think he's really, really good player. People love to knock him. He's obviously a little bit injury prone, but he's a really, really good player. And I think him and Embiid will work well in that pick and roll. Cat's probably going to stay, so he's not going anywhere. But I think, the Timberwolves have a lot of youth. Toronto, I feel like they have a lot of talent, but I don't think Toronto's going to give up too much for Ben Simmons, being as if they have OG, they have Pascal. They just drafted Scotty Barnes. I don't really see the Ben Simmons going there with the fact that they got these players. Sacramento, I feel like they have Buddy Hield. They have the contracts, Buddy Hield, Harrison Barnes, or whatever. They have guys that they can give up. Halliburton. I don't even think they'll give up Halliburton for Ben right now.
I think they would.
I think they would.
I don't know. But they have Halliburton to give up if they want to.
If Philly trades Ben and they don't get a point guard, they don't have a point guard.
That is very true.
So
if they give up Mitchell?
Mitchell who?
What the
Davion.
hell? Davion Mitchell.
Davion Mitchell?
Yeah, and Buddy Hield. You know, so they I feel like Sacramento, I don't think
that's actually better.
Yeah, I don't think the Clippers have enough because they would have to gut their depth, and I think they need depth right now. With Kawhi being out, they're going to need a team effort. So I think the Kings and Timberwolves have the best trade packages right now.
Also, correction, Pat Bev didn't like the tweet. He actually quoted it. The tweet was, add Ben Simmons to Cat, D'Lo, Anthony Edwards, and you have a contender. And Pat Bev quoted it and said, facts.
He's literally about to be gone with Malik Beasley. It's so hilarious. Him and Beasley are about to be gone.
That's why, before you go, Drew, that's why with the Timberwolves, the trade pack, because I have trade packages for each scenario.
GM.
For Toronto, it's Simmons for Pascal straight up. You know, I think the contracts work. Toronto probably has to add a pick. But are they going to trade Simmons for Pascal straight up? I kind of doubt it. You know, I don't think that's going to be true. But if they do, I think it makes sense because Simmons is now your true point guard. Fred or Gary, they play the 2. And now Barnes can start at the 4. And now you have that young core that can grow forward. But I don't think Philly is just going to take Pascal.
Yeah, they need
but
one.
If they did, you know, Philly with Pascal at the 4, you move Tobias back to the 3. You got Danny Green at the 2. And I don't know, maybe Seth plays the 1 or Maxey and then Embiid at the 5. It can work somewhat. And then the second trade is Goran Dragic and OG Anunoby for Simmons.
Whoa. You think they'll trade OG?
I think for Simmons, you're going to have to.
Damn.
You know,
I like OG.
And I think Philly gets a point guard in Goran. They get a 3 guard in OG. Now you have Goran, Danny Green, OG, Tobias, and
more
Embiid.
spacing.
Yeah, and I think that would work for them as well. Is Toronto going to trade OG? I'm not too sure, but if they were to do that, now you have Simmons, Fred still, Scotty, Pascal. So would they move Scotty to the 3? You know, it's a bunch of question marks right there. Then another trade would be from Toronto. It would be for Simmons. It would be Fred VanVleet and Chris Boucher for Ben Simmons.
I like that one better.
You know,
so Scotty is immovable right now.
I think Scotty's untouchable.
I think Scotty and OG are, in my opinion, I think Scotty and OG are the untouchable ones.
Okay.
But with the Timberwolves, for me, it's like, what can they trade of value for Ben outside of D'Lo? And I think Minnesota, the whole reason they got D'Lo was to make Cat happy. So I think D'Lo is off the table. He's off limits. My best trade for them is Malik Beasley and Pat Bev. You know, Malik Beasley, Pat Bev, and I would throw in Jaden McDaniels because I think he can be a good defender. And now if you have Ben Simmons, you don't need Jaden because Ben can play the 4. He can play the 1. You have D'Lo, Edwards, Ben, Cat. Yeah, now you just got to find a placeholder really at the 2 spot or the 3 spot. You know, there's not much that you got to do to, you know, to get a replacement. So I think that makes sense, but I don't think they're willing to move off of D'Lo. I don't think Toronto's willing to move off of
I think D'Lo,
Scotty Barnes,
Edwards, and Cat are the untouchable ones right now.
Yeah.
So Beasley and Pat Bev, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. You get a 20 points per game scorer who can shoot, space the floor. You get Pat Bev. He's a 3-and-D point guard. You still got Seth. You still got Tobias. You still got the MVP, Joel Embiid. Run it back.
From all the packages I've heard, I think I like Davion and Buddy Hield the best. I feel as if what the Sixers need is exactly that. You get in return someone who plays defense that you would lose and get and trade in Ben Simmons, obviously. You get someone who's still a playmaker, someone who still has upside offensively that right now people are questioning whether Ben can grow at all offensively, which is understandable. And then you get a guy in Buddy Hield who is one of the better three-point shooters in the league, and that's exactly what Philly is trying to do. They're trying to space the floor even more. And Davion is as young as it gets. Davion, and I'm saying it firmly, I believe Davion is the best defender in this class.
Oh, okay.
He's 23.
Just turned it, right?
I think so, yes.
Just turned.
Oh, so I'm bugging on that sense. But regardless of that, he's
Yeah.
23.
When you said young, that's
yeah,
why.
Thank you.
He's
Appreciate
23.
it. Thank you. Regardless of that, he's still NBA ready. He's for sure. And you lose Ben, you get a guy in Davion back. You're probably going to lose the size, the athleticism, but you're going to make up for it in heart. In same, I'm obviously going to take Ben Simmons defensively, but I still believe Davion Mitchell's going to be a stud defensively. And offensively, he provides more than what Ben does, unfortunately. Ben is not a good shooter at all. He hasn't been aggressive, even driving to the basket. So anything is a plus. And then
Maxi's a good defender, too.
And I think Max is going to have a breakout season this upcoming year for sure. They just need to give him the minutes.
Correction. Davion is 22. He turns 23 this week, though.
Okay.
His birthday is September 5th.
He's about to be.
He's a late guy. Oh,
His birthday is September 5th.
Dope. Wait a minute.
I like Sacramento's package, but I don't know how Simmons and Fox are going to fit. I really don't. I'm kind of hesitant on that. I know Philly wants Fox for Simmons. That's their most ideal thing.
They will not get
and
that.
I don't think they should get Fox. If I was Sacramento, I'm not trading Fox unless they believe in Halliburton that much. With Ben Simmons, it's weird. With Philly, it's weird specifically because they have said, from reports that I've read, that they are hoping this Portland and Dame situation becomes so toxic that they're going to move Dame.
I feel like they're waiting too long.
And at this point, nothing has really told us that that's about to happen. Dame seems like, from everything he said in interviews and on Twitter, he wants to stay in Portland. Yep. He wants to stay in Portland. I respect that. And honestly, if he loves Portland that much, if I love the city that much, I would do the same thing. He's getting a lot of money. They're probably a playoff team. Who knows how deep?
Yeah,
but,
at least they're in the playoffs.
They're still winning games. It's not like they're Cleveland and they're losing, or he's in a losing situation, losing in the playoffs, but not in the regular season as much. Yeah. So I think they're waiting for that situation, but I don't know when it's going to come. And with training camp about a month and a half away, how long are you going to really wait for Dame to say, you know what, I want to get traded? Because if Dame wanted to go to Philly, he would have said it by now.
Yeah, Dame is a pretty straight up guy.
He would have said it by now, and I think if all Dame has to say is say the word, all he has to do is say the word, and he can get a trade of Philly because they have Ben Simmons to trade. That's what I think, but obviously Dame has not said anything thus far.
Philly's going to wait too long.
I think Toronto has the best package for Philly. If I'm Philly and I'm strictly looking at what I can get back for Simmons, for example, from the Timberwolves, yeah, I can get Malik Beasley, but he's always in and out of trouble. He was arrested this past year, I believe. He got into something with Scottie Pippen's baby mama, or Larsa Pippen. He got into something with Larsa Pippen. He's always in.
Was he
always
in jail,
in the
right?
news. I think so. I'm not sure.
He was dead in jail.
He got arrested.
He got arrested.
He didn't go to jail.
And Malik Beasley isn't a very great defender. He's a very good offensive player, but not a great defender. Pat Bev, we know he has limitations on the offensive side of the ball, which is why if I'm Philly, the best package is what Toronto can give me. If I can get Pascal straight up, I'm taking Pascal for Ben. And if I'm Toronto and all I have to do is give up Pascal for Ben, I'll think about it. I'm not sure if I'll do it, but it makes sense because of how he can grow with the players. And right now, Toronto is missing a true point guard because they didn't go Jalen Suggs. They're missing that true point guard. But I honestly think the best trade also would be Goran and OG.
I think I like that more just because then they would have a point guard. If the Sixers trade Pascal for Ben straight up, then you know what I mean. If they trade Ben for Pascal straight up, then they don't have a point guard.
But if they could trade Fred and Chris Boucher, I mean, those contracts
I'm a fan
work.
Of Boucher, you know that.
If you can have Simmons, Scottie, and Pascal, that's an elite defensive lineup. And OG, Pascal, OG, Scottie, Ben, and Boucher. That's an elite defensive lineup.
Boucher playing the four. He's not a great on-ball defender. He's more of a paint, shot blocker type defender. But Embiid would make up for that. So I understand.
You think he starts in Philly, though?
At the 4, I think it's definitely possible he could start at the 4.
Yeah, and
then you move Tobias to the 3, for sure. You move Tobias to the 3. You put Danny Green at the 2 and Dragic at the 1. Oh, I'm missing Seth. Seth Curry.
I would probably have Boucher off the bench. That's just me, though.
But yeah, he did go to jail.
Okay, so
Damn.
120-day sentence in Wright County Jail.
I think Toronto definitely has the best trade package, but Ben Simmons, based on what he said, he wants to go to California, and I think because he's cool with Cat and D'Lo, he would relish the opportunity of going to Minnesota.
D'Lo got a chip.
I think Philly might have to take less from another team because Ben is going to say, no, I don't want to go there. He's already holding out from Philly. Yeah. So if he goes to Toronto and he holds out, now he just created a disaster. And I don't think Toronto Masai Ujiri believes that Ben Simmons is worth that headache because he's a playoff underperformer. And he's not a superstar player. He's an all-star player, DPOY caliber player. But is he worth that headache? I don't think he is. I don't think he is. And Scotty Barnes, I think they're hoping he becomes that Ben Simmons type of player.
Yeah.
So if you bring in Ben Simmons, you're kind of also limiting Scotty Barnes' ceiling as well. There's a lot to think about here, which I think, but I do think Toronto, on paper, they have the best trade package. But if I were to make a guess, I think he goes to Minnesota. And I like that for Minnesota a lot. A team in the Western Conference that is looking to make a big jump next season are the New Orleans Pelicans. And I looked at an interview that Willie Green did, his introductory press conference, and I didn't look at it, but I read an article about it. And Willie Green said that he thinks this team reminds him of the Suns last year. He thinks the Pelicans remind him of the Suns. David Griffin talked about Willie Green and thought that he was a good fit. Willie Green was asked what has went wrong with the past two coaches because Alvin Gentry was fired, Stan Van Gundy was fired. Coaches haven't been staying long with the Pelicans, and of course that worries Willie Green. And he said, quite honestly, it was fit. And I think he's right. Stan Van Gundy, he's a good coach, but he didn't vibe with the players, and specifically Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram, who are their top two players. Alvin Gentry, I thought prematurely he was fired, but that's my opinion. I do think Willie Green is going to be a hell of a head coach. And this offseason, they got Devontae Graham, Trey Murphy, Garrett Temple, Jonas Valanciunas, Satoransky, and Herb Jones. How good do you think the Pelicans will be next season? Will they be a playoff team?
Possible. I feel like their ceiling is a play-in right now. You know, I think right now we obviously have to see first-year head coach.
Ceiling?
Willie
is it play-in?
Can I speak?
No, but I'm just saying.
But
ceiling?
Can I?
You know what that means?
Yeah, ceiling means like the highest they can go is the play-in. Yes, I believe the highest they can go is the play-in. You know what I'm saying? I think, Willie Green, first year, we still have to see Devontae Graham coming in. I think Satoransky's going to start at the 1. I could be wrong, but I think just because of the fact that he's more of a playmaker and he can space the floor and he doesn't need the ball, he's probably going to start at the 1. I like Trey Murphy at the 2. I think the size, the defense, you bring in a guy who can also space the floor and shoot. You need that spacing around Zion. And then obviously, you got B.I. at the 3, Zion at the 4, and Big Joe at the 5. I think Joe, he kind of clogs the paint, but he's a better offensive player than Steven Adams, so you get a guy who can score. And then you bring Devontae Graham off the bench. You bring a guy who's just he's a spark plug. He can get buckets and spurts, and I think you have that off the bench. And this is still a team with Nickel Alexander-Walker. This team still – no, Josh Hart left.
No, Josh Hart.
Thank you. This is a team still with Josh. This team still has a lot of the young guys and the same guys that have been playing with each other for a couple of years. So I think, but with the West being you got the Suns, the Warriors are going to come back. Memphis is still going to be tough. You got the Clippers who's still going to fight. You got the Lakers. You got Utah. Denver still has the MVP. It's going to be a lot. Portland is still around. There's going to be a lot of teams that's going to be gunning and fighting for a spot. So I think right now, being as what they are, I think their ceiling for me is the play-in.
All right. So I don't hate the statement as much as I did when you first said it, because looking at it, I believe the Clippers are going to take a dip. Without Kawhi, it's definitely going to hurt them for sure. So they'll be a play-in team. The Grizzlies, in my opinion, by trading Valanciunas to the Pelicans, got worse. So they were already an 8th seed. The Spurs, we already spoke about that. We don't think that they're going to be in the play-in again. So that leaves 3 teams in question, and the Pelicans have arguably the best young player in the league, Luka Doncic and Zion.
Oh, okay.
Those two for sure. Then you have Brandon Ingram, who has blossomed into one of the league's top scorers for sure. And you subtract Zoe. Now this doesn't force them to force looks to Zion. My goodness, I just had a brain fart. To Lonzo Ball, excuse me. Because when Lonzo's on the floor, there's almost a sense of this guy's the missing part to our big three. We got to try and get him the ball, try and get him in rhythm a little bit. Now they don't have to do that. Now those two are going to be the primary ball handlers, the primary scorers of this offense, which is what they obviously should have been doing last year, and which they were to a degree. But now it's only going to be elevated now that they don't have to worry about forcing the ball to someone else. Now, Zion is going to be Zion. I think he's going to be an amazing player. I mean, he's averaged 28 over the last 2 seasons already. The first one was a small sample size, but the fact that he doubled down and did it again the year after was excellent. I believe he's only going to get better. And Brandon Ingram now, he's going to be asked to do a lot more, and I feel like he's going to be under the microscope more than what Zion's going to be, at least in my eyes. The league knows that Zion's amazing. The league believes that Brandon Ingram is a top scorer, but what has he done to show that he's a winner? That's my biggest question with the Pelicans. If Brandon Ingram's play is going to translate to wins, because it was easy to blame Zoe in that he wasn't this amazing scorer and he wasn't the player that everyone thought he was going to be. He never reached his potential. But no one's really pointing at Brandon Ingram and saying, is your play really correlated to being a good basketball team as a whole? That's my biggest concern with them. I do believe they got better. You bring in Valanciunas, that's definitely an upgrade to Adams. You lose Zoe, which hurts in the eyes of their defense. I believe that he was their best defensive player for sure. And you lose that, but you bring in Devontae Graham, who's not a slouch defensively, but not a great defender. Obviously, more known for his playmaking ability. He's a decent shooter as well, and that's where I feel like Nickeil Alexander-Walker, he made the blow of losing Zoe a little bit easier. You bring in Devontae Graham now. That backcourt is kind of fixed to a degree with you're not missing Zoe as much. So I feel like overall they did get better, but I still question whether Brandon Ingram's play is going to translate to ultimately what we want to see in wins. But talent-wise, they have the job to get it done. I believe that they could be a play-in team for sure, especially with Kawhi not being 100%. Who knows if he's going to be on the court at all. Memphis getting worse, and San Antonio obviously getting worse.
Both of you guys are wrong for different reasons.
How can we be wrong if nothing has happened yet?
Because you're going to be wrong. You're wrong in thinking that Devontae Graham's not going to start. He's going to start. And when you said that, I wanted to stop you, but I wanted to see where you kept going. Satoransky's not starting over Devontae Graham. Let's get that out of the way right now.
Satoransky started over Kobe White.
Yes.
Okay.
Kobe White is the same player that Devontae Graham. He is the same exact
That's rude.
player.
He's not going to start over Devontae.
Scoring point guard.
He's not going to start over Devontae Graham.
Devontae Graham was actually a playmaker.
He got benched.
For LaMelo.
To who? Exactly.
He got benched the year before that, late in the season. LaMelo wasn't there. Stop.
Are you
Devontae
sure?
Graham is going to start. Let's just make that clear. Their ceiling is not a play-in team. Their ceiling is a 5th, 6th seed in the Western Conference.
That's a fact.
It's not a play-in team.
What
Get that out of your head
Bro, they
right
have
now.
Zion.
So what?
You said ceiling, which means they're absolute best.
There are 6 playoff locks in the Western Conference right now.
So
The Jazz, the Suns, the Nuggets, the Mavs, the Lakers, the Warriors.
So if there's 6 playoff locks, how is their ceiling a 5th? If you just said it was 6 locks.
Let me speak.
No, ceiling is that the Suns.
Let me speak. The Nuggets without Jamal Murray, what are they going to be? Losing Paul Millsap, what are they going to be? We have to this is a wait and see. The Mavericks, their dysfunction, not doing anything in free agency. I love Luka, but that's a wait and see. Are we forgetting how special of a player Zion Williamson is? Oh my God, Lonzo stuck in my head.
That's on me.
And look, I got to say this before I go. What you said about Brandon Ingram and Lonzo, I think it was the opposite. I think Brandon Ingram, people were on him for saying that he doesn't play defense. All he does is score. I think Lonzo has been pampered. Since leaving LA, Lonzo has had no pressure on him to be a part of this big 3.
Ooh, I disagree, but go ahead.
If anything, all Lonzo gets right now is unlimited excuses for underperforming. He underperforms. It's how they use him in the offense. He doesn't play good. Oh, man, that's Stan Van Gundy. It's his fault. All Lonzo gets is excuses. That's all he gets. Nobody's expecting Lonzo to be the superstar guy or all-star guy. He is what he is, and I've said that before. That's why I don't think losing Lonzo was that huge. I think he's a good defender. Would have loved to keep him, but he's not a huge loss, and we'll see how he plays in Chicago. You guys know my opinion on that. The reason why you don't need to start Satoransky and why I thought that was ridiculous is because Chicago, okay, they started Satoransky to get more playmaking. This is where Pelicans fans should give Stan Van Gundy credit. Point Zion. Point Zion was a revelation for the Pelicans last season.
He was a freak.
He is going to be their point guard. And Zion is so special that his rookie season playing as a post player, he was historically efficient.
Oh.
His second season playing as a point guard, he was historically efficient. There were 25 games this past season that Zion had 5+ assists. In those games, the Pelicans went 16-8.
Tough.
His rookie season, he only dished out 5 dimes 3 times as a rookie, and the Pelicans went 2-1. He wasn't used as a point guard, and I think Zion also is going to improve his defense. The Pelicans, the second half of the year, were a top 15 defense in the league. They were finding their groove. And I think Willie Green, who's going to connect better with those players, he's played in the league. You don't think Willie Green's going to connect better?
No, I laughed because you said they were finding their groove defensively, and then you proceeded to forget who they've added it's like this offseason and who they lost. That's why I laughed.
Okay, but I think, you don't think Valanciunas is an okay defender?
As opposed to Steven Adams?
You don't think Trey...
Steven Adams is a better defender.
Steven Adams is okay. Trey Murphy, I think Trey Murphy's a good defender.
Rookie.
But I'm saying...
Satoransky, I can tell you off experience.
I don't think Satoransky is going to have as big as a role as you think he's going to have on the Pelicans.
Listen.
Who are the point guards on the Pelicans outside?
The Pelicans Kara Lewis, I think they would rather play him over Satoransky. I think Willie Green got there to play the younger players over these vets.
That's fair to say.
I think the starting lineup next season is going to be Devontae Graham. I don't think Trey Murphy starts. I think it's Josh Hart. And I think it's Zion, Ingram, and then I think it's Valanciunas. Yep. And then off the bench, you still got Jackson Hayes. Najee Marshall was pretty good last year. Trey Murphy. Kara Lewis. Hernan Gomez was okay. They were 9th in points per game last year. I think their offense gets better by losing Zoe and adding Devontae Graham and losing Adams and adding Valanciunas. Last year, their problem was that they built the roster off of misfits. Steven Adams and Eric Bledsoe, they didn't fit at all with this team. Now you brought in guys that actually fit. Like I said, I think Zion is that point guard. And now you have Zion being that point guard, Brandon Ingram playing second fiddle. Now Devontae Graham is turned into a secondary or a third playmaker on that team, which is he is more than capable of doing. And
sure, even
though Jonas he's very good in the post, I think he has a good 15-footer. He's not going to clog the paint like Steven Adams. He's not going to, his defender's not going to help so far off of him because from the mid-range, Jonas is pretty good. I mean, he was Memphis' second-best player last season, and Memphis was in the playoffs. Now you're asking him to be the Pelicans' third, fourth best player. I think that's a major upgrade. Zion Williamson had such a historic, forgotten season last year that nobody talks about because
he didn't make the playoffs.
All the hype about him was his rookie season. But then his second year when the Pelicans got force-fed to everybody on national television, there started to be a disdain for the Pelicans and Zion. But there's only been one player to average 25-plus points on 60% shooting from the field in a single season over the last 3 decades. The last player to do it was Kevin McHale in 1986. And Zion is the first player ever to average 25 points per game before the age of 21. Do I think the Pelicans, at their best, this upcoming season can be better than the Nuggets? I do. Can they be better than Dallas? I do. Do I have them over the Kings? I do. Do I have them over the Timberwolves? If the Timberwolves get injured, I do because they don't stay healthy.
So you said...
And do I think the Pelicans will be better than Memphis as well? And I think it's not far-fetched to say they can be better than Portland.
You said at Denver's best, the Pelicans can be better, which means Denver's best.
No. Before he must have made a mistake then, because he
I
said
said
without
Pelicans.
Jamal Murray.
Yeah.
Without Jamal Murray, it's possible.
I thought I heard you say at Denver's best.
No, without Jamal, I said Pelicans are 5th seed at their best. I think I think there are 6 playoff locks in the West. These 6 teams will make the playoffs. This is how I think it's going to go down. Let's just go down a list. I think 1st seed, let's just say the Lakers, just to say it right. The Lakers, I think Warriors 2nd, Jazz 3rd, Suns 4th. Now, I think the Nuggets and the Mavs are playoff locks. But if the Pelicans, if everything clicks next season, can they not be the 5th seed? I think they can, because Zion Williamson is that special. I think he's that special. And this upcoming season, we're going to see it because they're going to start winning. And when they start winning now, everybody's going to realize again, wow, Zion is actually this dude. I mean, last year he was so historic and has been forgotten. You said they missed the playoffs. So did Steph. And I know that Steph has accomplished things in his career, but we can all admire the season Steph had, even though they didn't make the playoffs.
I didn't. It wasn't to like knock Zion, but the reason why it was forgotten was because he didn't even make the play.
I was gonna say at least Steph made the play.
Yeah, he didn't even make the play. He didn't play as much. Actually, no, because Zion had a lot of national televised games last year. The Pelicans got a lot of that hype. He just didn't make the play, and that's why I was saying it's like not to say he didn't have a historical season, but it's just like you don't make the playoffs. It's kind of like you don't even make the play-in. So it's like
we can all be honest here and say that when you saw the Pelicans were playing on ESPN or TNT, you didn't bother watching the game. Let's just be honest. Most people didn't bother watching the game because they either got blown out and Zion went crazy, or it was close but a boring game. You know, the Pelicans, because of Zion's rookie year, and since he was injured, a lot of people just saw Brandon Ingram going off in Zion's rookie year. So because the Pelicans were bad in Zion's rookie year, nobody really wants to watch them anymore on national television because, you know, they just assume Zion's not playing or they're just losing. And I think next year that's going to change because I think this team is going to play different. I do think Willie Green is a different type of coach. He's played with great players. He's coached great players. He's played with Chris Paul when he was with the Hornets. He's played with Kobe. He's with the Warriors. He's coached KD, Steph, Clay, Draymond. So he's been around greatness. This past season, he's been with the Suns for 2 years. The first year was the year that they went 8-0 in the bubble. Next year, went to the finals. So he's been around teams that were already built and won, and he's been with teams that they've had rebuild, and he's won with them as well. So I think he's going to be a huge addition to this coaching staff, and that's why I believe in the Pelicans this year. You know.
Listen, I'm not disagreeing with him at all.
Oh, so you think their ceiling is a 5th seed?
The ceiling, what they absolutely best could be, yeah, it makes sense.
Tough
to say that their ceiling is a play-in.
I don't think that's wrong. I don't think there's nothing wrong with that because of how stacked the West is.
I agree, but it's not like compare the Mavs roster to the Pelicans. Talent
from last year?
We could say going into this year. If you go talent for talent, let's say the outliers are Luka and Zion. We'll cancel them out.
Pelicans have a better roster.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Pound for pound, they
would
do.
Would you have said the Pelicans had a better roster last year if you took both guys out?
I believe the Pelicans were going to be a lot better than what they showed last season.
So would you have said that last year? If we took
Ingram, Porzingis, who's better? Ingram.
I'm taking Ingram.
Now Lonzo, and who was the Mavs' 3rd best player?
Tim Hardaway Jr.
I'm taking Hardaway Jr.
I would take Hardaway Jr. right now.
Yeah.
So then, okay. So right now, who's the 3rd best player for the Pelicans? Valanciunas.
And I think I would probably give the edge to Valanciunas over Hardaway Jr.
I think Hardaway just fits more to what Luka wants to do.
When you fit
better, you don't need to be better than that other player.
You look at the other players on the Mavs, you know, Reggie Bullock.
He fits
Finney
Luka.
Smith, Maxi Kleber, Brunson. I mean,
he had that team as a what?
Because Luka's amazing. No, it was all Luka. I'm not going to say.
He had that team as a 5th seed.
But then why can't Zion do something similar?
Well,
the only difference is that Luka's
Zion at point guard was 16-8.
Yep.
So getting more responsibility we'll
have to see more, you know, obviously
they can win more games. Yeah. I just think last year there was just jumbled up mess with Bledsoe and Steven Adams. It just wasn't enough. And them being so bad defensively in the beginning of the year hurt them a lot. But Stan Van Gundy obviously got them to buy in later in the year. And I saw an interview on the Dan Le Batard show with Stan, and Stan was shocked he was fired because he said we got better throughout the year, but obviously he was fired. And he mentioned that he doesn't believe Zion had nothing to do with it. So he was, he was having Zion's back in that interview, which was cool. But I think if these players, most of these guys are already bought in on defense, Willie Green's job isn't as tough as Stan's was, trying to get them to buy in on defense. But it's really, I think this team is really about how good Willie Green is going to be as a coach. If you believe he's going to be average, then I can understand your opinion. But I believe he's going to be a damn good coach. Okay. I do. I think he's going to have a Monty Williams-like effect on the Pelicans. Will they make the finals? No. But I think they will be a playoff team. And I think this is the year where Zion opens up people's eyes again. Because people slept on him this past year. And now this year we're going to be like, okay, like Zion is actually legit. He actually is in the convo with the Lukas and Tatums and stuff like that. Because I think right now, you ask a casual fan.
What are you making that face for?
It's a combo with the Lukas. Come on. Luka's like a top 7 player in the league right now. Zion's not in that
Zion's a top 15 player.
Okay, that's fair. You can say the Tatums, but you said Luka. That's the only one. That's the only reason I made the face.
Was Luka in his second year a top 15 player?
You answer that.
I think he was. I think he was. I think he was a top 10 player, in my opinion.
Oh, okay.
And so Zion, top 15 player. Third year, he can't make that leap to be a consensus top 10. I think he absolutely can.
Wait, so you're saying, right, like, what's this, going into his third season?
Year.
You think he's top 15 right now?
He's top 15.
I do think so, too.
Okay. So you think at the end he should be a top 10 player in the NBA?
After this upcoming season, he should be a top 10 player.
I wonder whose spot he's going to take. That's very interesting.
It's probably Dame.
I was actually thinking the exact same name.
That's a tough name. We'll see. That's a tough. We'll see.
A team that might get kicked out of the playoffs because the Pelicans are probably going to surpass them this upcoming season are the Memphis Grizzlies. The Grizzlies right now, it was reported that they're shopping Dillon Brooks and Kyle Anderson for the right price. Chris Feder of Cleveland.com reported that they are shopping them because right now they have 18 players under contract. So they have to trade some of them. They have to cut some of them. I think it's much easier to move Anderson than it is Dillon Brooks because I think Anderson fits more teams. And I think Dillon Brooks, he's a better player, so I wouldn't want to move him right away. Do you think Memphis is making a mistake? Because it feels like right now they are blowing this playoff core. They are blowing these winning players, and they are trying to bank on potential and talent. Are they making the right move, or are they making a mistake by trying to shop their better players? They already traded Jonas. And trading Brooks and Anderson, pretty much trading everybody away that was on their playoff team last year.
Yeah, I think they're getting a little too excited. I think they're getting a little too happy with their player development team. I think trading Valanciunas after you had a pretty strong playoff run, you made it to the play-in. You went on, you beat the Spurs, then you beat the Warriors, then you gave Utah, a solid fight, You stole the game. So it's like I feel like that team should have definitely had the opportunity to run it back and build together and get better. Dillon Brooks is still about 26 years old. Kyle Anderson, he isn't old. None of them are over 28, I believe, except Valanciunas. And John Moran, he that's your best player. Jackson is your second best player in terms of like for your franchise. So I think those two guys, they kind of vibed with those three guys. They got the chemistry with those guys. And I feel like drafting Zaire Williams. You could have just waited on. You didn't have to trade Valanciunas, a guy who was a pretty big part in what you were doing. And I think Dillon Brooks, who's a top 10 perimeter defender in the league, in my opinion, I think trading him away is kind of going to lose that identity that you have, that Rough Rider, that grit and that grind, that hard-nosed basketball, that identity that Dillon Brooks fits so much for Memphis. I think you're going to lose that. Same with Kyle Anderson. He's a guy who kind of like got his career back up to flow when he went to Memphis, and I think trading those two guys in this situation is kind of going to put you guys a couple steps back, whereas you're right now you may not be a lock for the playoffs, but people are circling you on the calendar like this is a dangerous team. We can't sleep on them. So it's like I personally think this is a bad move, and I wouldn't do it just because of the slow improvement that they've been making over the couple years.
Unless they're using these two guys in a package deal and upgrading at either one of those two positions, I don't see how this move makes sense, truthfully. Now, you mentioned it, hit the nail right on the head. You trade Valanciunas, you downgrade, in my eyes, to Steven Adams. It's not like Steven Adams is a scrub. He's definitely not a scrub. It's just not He's not going to give you what Valanciunas is going to give you. Valanciunas is a better offensive player, about the same rebounder as Steven Adams. Adams is probably a little bit better in that aspect because that's what he does. He goes, gets boards, offensive rebounder as well. He's a good defender. Adams I'll give him the edge there, but for what Memphis needs right now, Adams is not that. Maybe in the fact that they need defense, which I can understand, but you're thinking about trading Dillon Brooks, who just gave you 17. Anderson was a solid player for them too. Not a great scorer at all, but he's at least some kind of a
jack of all trades.
Exactly, perfectly said. He can make for you guys. The slowest transition player in the game, but somehow he makes it worse. Makes it work. Excuse me. And the fact that Dillon Brooks has improved year to year the way he has, I don't understand how you could look at that and think, you know what? Let's move off of him, because I'm guessing their mind is, all right, this guy's actually playing too well now, and he's going to want money that we're not going to want to give him. So in that sense, I understand, but at the same time, you have John Moran, who's only brought you the Memphis Grizzlies success since he's been drafted, and he's only shown that franchise is going on an increased rate, I guess. My wording's terrible there, but you understand what I mean. He has brought this franchise to a respectable name all of a sudden, and the franchise is kind of slapping him in the face and not really giving him anything. Do I understand that Memphis isn't a big market and they're not going to attract free agents? For sure. So do they need to capitalize on their, above average players that are going to want more money than what they're actually worth? Sure, but at the same time, it's got to be about winning too. And you're not helping John Morant by trading away his second-best player last season or trading away arguably their best defender in Dillon Brooks. So I don't see, unless they're packaging these two and getting an upgrade, but I don't know what upgrade would that be exactly at this point in time. It's like you're not getting a Beal with that package, I don't think. Maybe a CJ McCollum, but at that point, I wouldn't hate CJ McCollum either, but then you're losing your best defender for just better offense by only, 4 or 5 points. Someone who's been, proven in the playoffs, sure. Then you lose Anderson, who's a good vet to have, someone a jack of all trades like you mentioned. So it's kind of confusing to me, but at the same time, I see where they're coming from because these guys are going to want some money, and maybe they're not worth the $22, $23 million that they're going to want.
Portland was actually interested in Dillon Brooks. I'm not sure what they offered them, but they were interested in Dillon Brooks. I have a peace of mind with this report because it says for the right price, which means that they're not just trying to blow it all up and trade these guys for nothing. I think Dillon Brooks, he's worth $20 million. I think Kyle Anderson, I think he's replaceable. He's the most replaceable guy between these two because I think with Zaire playing a 3, he can fit right into that. Honestly, Memphis's dream scenario is these young guys developing in a year or two from now, having a starting lineup of John Morant, Desmond Bane, Jarrett Culver, Zaire Williams, and Jaren Jackson Jr. I think they traded for Jarrett Culver because they think he still has potential. Thus far, what's been holding him back was his jump shot because he's not a good shooter. I think Zaire Williams, he does have potential, but in college, he was bad. In the summer league, he was bad. So obviously it's still raw, but I think that's their dream scenario. Dillon Brooks, too, I guess is a bit replaceable because you have Desmond Bane.
I don't think you can find defenders.
You can't find a defender like him.
No.
But Desmond Bane is a 40% three-point shooter. He can handle the ball. He can play make as well. He played point guard with the Grizzlies in summer league. I mean, he was playmaking. He was doing great. So I think they're a bit optimistic there. The Grizzlies have a problem right now that they have too much young talent that they're not able to play all these guys. I mean, I'm not even mentioning guys like Xavier Tillman and DeAnthony Melton and Tyus Jones, guys like that who are also very young, who have shown flashes. Because of that, there's a lot of stuff you have to consider. And Brandon Clark, last year, later in the year, he didn't even play because, I mean, he didn't fit what they wanted to do. I thought it was weird when they moved off of Jonas Valanciunas, even though Steven Adams fits that grit and grind personality more. He's not the player that Jonas is. And I do think the Grizzlies are going to drop off because of that. I just don't know what direction they're going in. You know, I understand they're a small market, but I don't believe that blowing it up is the correct answer when you're a small market, when you have talent that can compete in the playoffs, because these guys can develop. I mean, who's to say that Dillon Brooks can't be a Chris Middleton type of player? I mean, he's already averaging 17. He's not far off from 20.
You had to say Chris Middleton.
I mean, if I said Chris Middleton last year, nobody would care. Yeah, because he's
say someone different.
because he went on this run now. All of a sudden, he's an untouchable.
That's exactly
I just think,
how it works.
You know, I think when you blow it up, you got to just make the right decisions. You know, it starts by trading Jonas for Steven and then picking Zaire at that pick. You know, you done made two very questionable decisions. You know, I feel like Zaire wasn't the pick at 10. I feel like Steven Adams is not the player Valanciunas is. So now you done made two questionable decisions. That's kind of, it might set you back a little bit. Like, you just made the AFC. You just beat the Warriors in the play-in. You beat Steph Curry. That's a feat in its own. And then you go on and you play Utah, you know, the number 1 seed. You steal a game. Granted, Mitchell didn't play. But nonetheless, that team was still nice. And you beat them. John Morant averaged 30 that playoff series.
So I got a question. Dillon Brooks can't average 22 a game?
Depends. Not on that team. Well, no, it depends. He maybe.
I mean, with Jonas gone,
he's so inefficient.
I mean, he's shot 42% from the field, 34% from three.
God,
and,
6'7".
Yeah, I mean, he's not you know, the most efficient. He does take shots. He's a shot chucker, but he's gotten more efficient year by year.
It's just his bad shot. He takes bad shots.
Yeah, but Chris Middleton's not the defender Dillon Brooks is.
He's smart. He's a smarter player though.
So if Dillon Brooks can get to 20. That's a Middleton type player, a borderline all-star. If Middleton was in the West, he doesn't make an all-star team. But in the East, you know, Brooks in the East averaging 20. I mean, I'm just saying it's not far off.
Nah, I feel.
It's not far off. Chris Middleton is not
Chris is definitely not a defender. He is. I give you that.
He's not at all. I think that's the biggest thing about him.
Playmaking wise, Dillon's nowhere near Chris Middleton.
No, definitely not. Chris Middleton's a great playmaker.
Mm-hmm.
He's a great playmaker.
Chris is a better offensive player.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But Dillon Brooks, I think
he's very great defensively.
The elite,
just fouls too much.
The two best guys on defense that I've seen on James Harden over the course of these past couple of years have been Lou Dort and Dillon Brooks.
You gotta stop. We don't care. Like you always talk about James Harden. That's your favorite go-to. The best guys I've seen guard James Harden. Just that. It's always James Harden, bro. Just stop. Like, please.
I mean, I say, is James Harden not the best ISO player in the league right now?
Bro, you can say somebody else, bro. Like LeBron, Curry.
Why can't I say James Harden?
Because you always say James Harden.
How is that not a compliment to Dillon Brooks?
Well, we've seen Dillon Brooks guard so many other players. You don't have to just James Harden. Yeah, the guys who you've seen him guard Steph. We've seen him guard Steph very well, like very well. You've seen that. So, but you needed to bring up Harden.
What's wrong about me saying Harden? Though?
Because we hear our Harden every other week. It's like every other.
Who's better ISO player, Harden or Curry?
See, look, and then it goes into.
No, I'm just asking.
Obviously, the guy who does ISO more.
I think it's more impressive that he's guarding Harden than Steph.
So you think it's more impressive that he's guarding a guy that runs around 50 screens all day than a guy who just stands there, does 50 dribble moves, and then goes? You think that's more? Answer that. No.
Harden's more effective, so yeah.
What?
Whoa.
You see where this goes into? You see where this goes into?
Harden's a better player than Steph.
Huh?
Harden's a better player than Steph.
Oh, my God.
Like, come on.
He knows this isn't true.
It is true. Let's be honest.
You called Steph top 5 in the league. You never said Harden was top 5. This year,
you
did. You said Steph.
Because this year I'm going off of who had a better season. Steph had a
as of right now,
season.
Steph is better.
No, he had a better season. Is he better? He's not better than Harden.
He's better than Harden.
He's not better than
He's
James Harden.
significantly better than that.
He's not significantly. Yeah, okay. Get the hell out of here. Get the hell out of here. I mean, Steph. You know what's funny that?
Oh God.
Steph has this year was his chance to get into the playoffs. Him leading the team, put it on his back, and he didn't make it. James Harden would have carried that team to the 3rd seed.
He wouldn't have won a playing game. I promise you, Harden would have choked that game. He would have choked. And because we've seen it, he wouldn't have choked.
No, he wouldn't have.
No, he wouldn't
have. Bro, he had Kevin Durant on his squad, and he blew the bag.
He had a grade 2 hamstring.
Bro was running around. He was just getting the ball. Where's KD? Where's KD? Where's KD? I gotta win. Where's KD, bro?
I forget he had a grade 2 hamstring.
Oh God.
You can play on a grade 2 hamstring.
We're not NBA athletes. We can't do anything.
I mean, paid $40 million.
I mean, fucking athlete. You're human. You're a human. You can't play on that.
He's 6'5", 250.
That doesn't mean he doesn't feel pain, bro.
No, I'm sure
That's
he does. It's just
pain.
we saw him in the game running around looking for KD.
But be honest, it's not like they were asking him to hit more than open jump shots.
I mean, the reason why he couldn't be James Harden is because of that.
He couldn't hit open jump shots?
Regardless, you can't hit an open jump shot.
I mean, his trainer came out a couple weeks ago and said,
answer me this.
No, I'm just saying. I'm going to bring up context to this. His trainer came out a couple weeks ago and said the fact that James Harden was even running up and down the court was impressive because
it definitely
on that injury, you're not even able to do that.
You're right.
So, if you don't, your jump shot, most important thing are your legs.
Yep.
If you don't got your legs, you don't got your hamstring. I mean, am I expecting him to hit it? I would like him to.
More than two shots.
But come on. What did
he go 2 for 16?
No, nah, bro. Come on.
I'm asking.
He went 2 for 12, man. I think it was 2 for 12.
So much better.
But he had a grade 2 hamstring. Let's give him some slack. I understand,
So
like
then
if you want to, if you want to bring up, San Antonio Game 6 or these other stuff.
We could do that.
No, you could bring it up, and I'll say that's fair. But this past playoffs, when he literally had a grade 2 hamstring, I'm not gonna hold that too much against him.
We can definitely bring up the time when Manu blocked him. We could definitely bring up the time when he had 10 turnovers in the game. We can do that.
I mean, he has some bad moments.
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
That doesn't mean. But
we could definitely bring up 2012 finals where he played like absolute terrible garbage.
Going on, Steph.
But Steph, his first year as a player that's trying to lead a team to the playoffs. Yes.
Yo, you got
the
narrative is horrible.
That's not the first. It's not
his first.
2015 was the first.
No. Even before that, 2014, 2013. Those were his years.
With Clay,
bro.
Clay was never.
Clay wasn't Clay.
Clay was still really good.
But Steph was the man. He was the leader, and they went to the playoffs. They wasn't even supposed to beat Denver.
Steph was the reason they beat
Denver. But Denver, we knew their problem though.
They were third seed.
We knew what Denver was though. They had a bunch of role players. They didn't have a true star. Denver never had a true star. They had a lot of great role players. Ty Lawson, Gallinari, Chandler. Steph can't beat those guys. Come on.
He says the guy who couldn't beat Jonathan Simmons, Patty Mills, when Tim Duncan, Kawhi, and them didn't play.
LaMarcus Aldridge, you forgot about him.
He didn't play that game. I know that series. The
Kawhi
stars
didn't play.
No, Kawhi didn't. It was all the stars didn't play. He played the bench and he lost. Yeah.
You want to bet Game 6?
It wasn't game. I didn't say Game 6. I said there was a game in that series where the stars didn't play. They got hurt, and James Harden went up against them, and he lost.
I mean, we'll fact check that, but all I know is that Steph, he had a chance last year to make the playoffs, and he didn't make the playoffs.
What year was this?
No, it wasn't 17. Was it 17?
2016.
16. You're ridiculous.
I mean, you're the one that said you don't think it. You don't. There's a sizable gap.
I was playing.
I mean, of course you're playing because James Harden is better, so there can't be a sizable gap.
No. Steph Curry is a top 5 player in the league. Harden is not, so he's not better than.
James Harden was a top 5 player last year, so
yeah, Steph is always.
He had a top 5 season last year.
He's always been a top 5 player since 2015.
Now last year.
Well, he didn't play. When he plays, he's been a top 5 player.
So you're telling me he has durability concerns too?
Are we doing?
No, cool. So that's what you're telling me right now. I want the guy that's going to be healthy.
Yeah, who chokes all the time.
And he doesn't choke all the time. I mean, these past 3 postseasons, he's been phenomenal.
Yeah.
He's been phenomenal. You put some respect on James Harden's name. He's the bearded one.
Yeah. Didn't you guys almost lose to Oklahoma City Thunder?
Wait, who are you talking about?
You said James Harden the last 3 years. That's what you said. So I'm asking.
Lost to OKC. OKC was a really great team.
Oh, that team was really good.
And Russell Westbrook didn't play either.
He did play. He just was garbage.
Oh, yeah. He was coming off an injury.
Yeah.
No, Russell Westbrook didn't play for the first 2-3 games.
Oh, no, yeah, you're right. Yeah. And then he played, and he was garbage. Didn't mean much.
I mean, I'm just saying, man.
I can't find... Wait, I can just look at games played.
Dude, you're horrible at finding stuff at Depot Reference.
Kawhi did not play a game.
Oh, yeah, that was Game 6.
Who else are we looking at? Manu played.
Marcus Aldridge.
Tony Parker only played 2 of those games.
Already watched.
LaMarcus Aldridge played all 6.
Yeah, he's crazy.
Okay, you said LaMarcus Aldridge missed the game.
I didn't say LA.
Yes, you did.
You did.
I said the Stars.
You did.
LaMarcus Aldridge is a star. What are you talking about?
He was.
DeJounte did not play 1 game.
He was a 6th man at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but you said LaMarcus. That's what this was about.
But TP and Kawhi did not play. Don't you dare say he was washed. Don't even think about it.
But LaMarcus was the star on that team.
He was, and Kawhi was all-star, and TP
Kawhi was the star of the team.
It was both. They were both the stars of the team. Look at what LaMarcus averaged that series.
Let's see it. That series he averaged 19 basically.
Valid.
Very valid.
Marcus was good, bro. He was their star.
He was.
He was their star along with Kawhi. That's what I'm saying.
And Harden did average the most points in the series.
Of course he did. That's what he's gonna do. And he also choked.
I mean, he choked in that game 6, but let's not act like he had.
He didn't have help. He did not. Ariza was mid 14.5. I guess out of Ariza, that's good.
That is actually good for Ariza.
13 from Clint Capella, 12.3 from Eric Gordon, Ryan Anderson 11, Pat Bev 10.7. Lou Will averaged 7.3.
I mean, just you naming that roster, that's not a good roster.
Not at all.
So
and that's the roster that Harden has had to carry the majority of Houston's career.
This is what we're gonna do now.
Steph hasn't had to carry rosters like that, bro.
And to Harden's defense, he had to go against arguably the greatest team ever assembled.
He also played, Steph Curry before that year and lost in 5. So we have to stop with this.
In a WCF.
He also played Dame, and Dame hit a game winner and ended that too. So let's cut it out. He's played others. He also played Kevin Durant. He lost that one too.
Wait, hold up. You're telling me he played KD. He played OKC his first year he got to Houston.
He lost.
Their second best player was Jeremy Lin.
That's fair.
With Russ and KD.
That's fair to say. No, it was Chandler Parsons. It was Chandler Parsons.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Chandler Parsons, Jeremy Lin.
He was all right.
Parsons was okay.
He was all right.
But come on, you're telling me, okay. But
what about Dame? Come on. Dame hit a game winner, ended that. Let's stop giving this guy.
LaMarcus Aldridge
Dwight Howard was on that team. Dwight Howard was on that team.
Yeah, Dwight Howard had a great series.
Mm-hmm.
But that Portland team was good, man.
But so was that Houston. It was even. It was even. You can say that was
shouldn't have lost to that Portland team.
I mean, it was okay, but I'm gonna say this: you talk about the WCF with Golden State in 2015.
Yeah, Dwight was playing.
Drew, Dwight wasn't Dwight.
Just because Dwight wasn't Dwight doesn't mean.
All right, what am I looking at? 2015.
Look at Houston Rockets 2015 roster.
Oh my God!
Look at their starting lineup.
Seed.
Because Harden was that great, he lifts these teams up. But you're not
2015, 2016, or 2014, 2015?
2014.
All right, here we go. Ariza, Pat Bev, Corey Brewer, Clint Capella.
Clint Capella was not.
He wasn't
his rookie year.
He wasn't
his rookie year.
He was not good.
Troy Daniels, not that matters. James Harden, Dwight Howard, Terrence Jones, Pablo Prigioni, Josh Smith, Jason Terry.
That team went to the WCF.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying, stop acting like Harden has had this bomb squad. He's never had the squad that Curry has had, bro.
I never said that.
Whoa, never.
Well, now he does.
In 2018?
Nah.
Man, that 2018 team was good.
Nah, he's never had the KD in him. But now he does.
He's never had the
KD. Now he does.
But
now he does.
But it's saying that Curry team in 2015, he's never had a team like that?
The Curry team in
2015
Clay
and 2016.
Draymond.
He's had Chris Paul.
Harrison Barnes.
2018.
I mean, I guess that's as closest to it. But then again, it's Chris Paul, then who's the third star?
But it's just because they're not stars don't mean they didn't fit their roles.
I know it was a great team, but Golden State had the star power too. I mean, Iguodala took a reduced role as an all-star to go to Golden State. He was an all-star. He took a reduced role to go to Golden State.
So that actually helps my point because you just said Denver didn't have an all-star. Iggy was on that team.
He averaged 12 a game.
No, don't do that. You just said.
But he averaged 12 a game.
You just said that.
But look at Iggy's all-star season. He averaged 12 a game.
But you just said he was all-star.
Here, listen. Harden averaged 30, but then he had CP averaging 18.6.
2018 was Harden's best team. And they took the best team assembled in history to 7 games.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what I'm saying.
But you're saying to say he's never had it?
No, but he's never had Curry, Clay, Draymond, KD. Let's stop that.
But he has KD, Kyrie, Joe Harris.
No, that's why I said outside of now he has it.
You used to knock Curry for that.
Now he has it.
When Harden has that now.
No, I used to knock Curry for it because all everybody wanted to act like was Curry was doing this by himself. And my main concern, my main problem with it was let's stop acting like Curry's not favored every single night. He is. He absolutely is. James Harden, he had to get it out the mud, bro. He had to get it out of Compton. You look at the rosters that he's been with, come on, bro. You're about to, come on.
He did start from the bottom.
The reason why he has those bad playoff moments is because
he was a lottery pick.
Third pick in the draft.
But OKC kind of threw him away like he was trash.
I mean, but that don't mean he got it out the damn mud.
But that Houston roster, he made it out the mud with that squad.
He's lucky he went there to become who he is now.
I mean,
lucky. He would have been if he stayed at OKC, would have been
a third fiddle.
If he stayed at OKC,
He would have been Chris Bosh.
No. This is what I'm gonna say. If he stayed in OKC, not only is OKC a dynasty in terms of how many championships they win, but we are viewing James Harden as a more glorified Manu Ginobili.
That's good. That's so cute.
I mean, what do you mean? That's a Hall of Fame player.
No, it is, but we view Steph as the second greatest point guard in life.
If OKC stays assembled, Curry does not win no championships, bro. Let's keep it a buck.
Let's
keep it a buck.
That is very valid.
That's bad to say.
So I'm just saying, like, come on.
He still gets an MVP and all that good stuff, though.
I mean, we don't know.
Well, we know none of KD and them wasn't going to get it.
I mean, maybe if we're not viewing Harden as that superstar, they can still definitely get it with just KD and Russ.
Unless KD has a LeBron year.
I mean, he could, but I mean the difference with
hell?
the difference with that OKC team was that it was built through the draft. The reason why they didn't give LeBron the MVP was because they joined forces. You know, so now that this team is built through the draft, they don't view it in that lens.
Interesting. That's interesting.
Like Golden State was a great team in 2016 when Steph was unanimous MVP. They didn't knock him for having a great team because he had a great season. But then once KD joined, they're like, okay, now nobody on this roster can win because they joined forces. But when you build through the draft, I think it's a bit different. You can still win the MVP because it's not that stigma around it. Stop disrespecting my mans, bro. Bro, he's bugging. Come on.
He's bugging in some of the things he's saying, but
let's move on to the next topic, right? Because I think this is going to be interesting. The Miami Heat, right? They made some offseason moves this past offseason. They got Kyle Lowry. They got a huge get in PJ Tucker. And this, we're going to debate it. We're going to debate this right now because we saw this on Twitter somewhere. Who's more valuable to the Miami Heat, PJ Tucker or Tyler Herro? And I know when people hear that, they're like, oh, how are you comparing a 2-point-per-game scorer to a 15-point-per-game scorer? But we know Tucker's a first ballot grit and grind Hall of Famer. If they had a grit and grind,
he made that up.
If they had a grit and grind Hall of Fame with guys that featured Bowen and Tony Allen and
Ben Wallace,
PJ Tucker is a first ballot Hall of Famer. That's what I'm gonna say right now. Who's more valuable to this Miami team, Herro or Tucker?
Well, first of all, first ballot grit and grind. That's tough. He's the worst offensive player I've ever seen in my life, but. His value on the defensive end is extremely high. His switchable defense, he can guard 1 through 5. He can hit the corner 3 at a very high clip. With Miami, it's tough because this team was a top 10 defensive team in the league last year with Tyler Herro on the team without PJ Tucker. The team, the Miami Heat, what we all have been speaking about is they need a little bit more offense. We feel like this team, going into the playoffs, they need a guy who can hit shots. They just need a little bit more offense. We felt like in the Milwaukee series, they kind of felt overwhelmed. Defensively, they were fine. Giannis actually didn't play like at an elite level. That was actually his worst series if you look at all the 4 series.
In that run,
but just
Miami, way
Miami
below his averages too.
I think it was like 23. The rebounds are there, but it was like 23 points per game. But they couldn't keep up offensively. So I think in terms of value, Tyler Herro is more valuable because of the fact that he's young. He's more valuable to the franchise in terms of his potential, his offensive game. The three-point shot is the most valuable skill in the NBA, and Tyler Herro does that at a high clip. So with that being said, from off the catch, off the screen, a creation, Tyler Herro does it all better at the three-point level, aside probably from the corner because PJ just stands there all day. But that is why I would say Tyler Herro, in a game where offensive-minded people are much more hyped up than defense, I think Tyler Herro is more valuable.
I'll make mine brief because I'm basically on the same lines of Riv, and I'd rather just comment back off what you say, your argument, because I don't want to just reiterate exactly what he's going to say. Defensively, what's their identity? Defense for sure. So that's where Tucker's presence is going to be felt, and that's where getting him and really solidifying that identity of being probably the best defensive team in the league is strong for sure, and that's where his value lies. Now, I've been on record saying that I don't believe they're a championship contender because they lack the offensive talent or the offensive, just the ability to have multiple players on their squad to average more than 20 points. Now, I don't think Tyler Herro is a 20-point-per-game scorer yet. Could one day he potentially be that? Sure. But he is one of their better offensive players as of right now. And I feel as if since they need offense right now, that's why Tyler Herro is more valuable than PJ Tucker. But for the fact that PJ Tucker and what the Miami Heat are going for identity-wise, I understand that argument too. But solely off what Miami needs right now, Herro has to be more valuable in that sense.
The reason why PJ Tucker stands in the corner is because he's effective from there. Why become an electrician if you're good as a plumber? I think he's a great three-point shooter. He should stay there. 40% from three. He does his thing from the corners, and it doesn't matter which one, right or left. He's effective at both spots, man. This guy is lights out from that area. When we talk about a player who averages 2 points per game, people obviously laugh and they, shrug it off and say, obviously, Herro is more valuable. Like you mentioned, Drew, the Heat's identity is on defense. I think they got offense with Kyle Lowry. I think that was a guy he's gonna do more than just score. He's gonna be a great playmaker for them as well. When we talk about PJ Tucker, I think he's an assassin. He's an assassin on the defensive side of the ball. The reason why the Heat players struggled so much in the playoffs was because of PJ Tucker's defense. Heat players shot 7 for 25, 25% from the field when guarded by PJ Tucker. I mean, that's like 4 coin flips trying to land on heads. You make 4 coin flips, one of them has a chance of landing on heads. That's how great of a defender PJ Tucker is. The reason why Jimmy had a hard time, PJ Tucker's defense. He shot 17% from the field against PJ Tucker. That is how great Tucker is. Tyler Herro, he's a good scorer. Every single Bucks player shot above 50% on Herro in that first round, which is why they couldn't stop nobody. Herro couldn't stop anybody. Rookie season had a great playoff run, but that second year was very tough. This is PJ Tucker on notable players in the playoffs. Bogdan Bogdanović made him shoot 33% from the field. Trae Young shot 37% from the field and 25% from three on Tucker. Chris Paul shot 21% from the field. People talked about, Chris Paul was disappearing in the finals. Why do you think that is? Because of PJ Tucker's defense and Jrue Holiday, of course, because this guy, man, he's just an amazing defender. Mm-hmm. The Heat right now look at the Eastern Conference and they say our biggest threat are the Brooklyn Nets. Who is the best player that gets put on Kevin Durant? Who does the best job on KD? That's PJ Tucker, man. That's PJ Tucker, man. This guy, looking at what he does on defense, his footwork, his aggressiveness, the masterclass, it's something to learn from. If you're a defender at home, you got to learn from this guy because this guy plays with so much heart. He's a sneaker champion. Kevin Durant shot 45% from the field and 31% from three against Tucker. Now, that sounds good, right? It sounds, wow, those aren't bad numbers.
What was the numbers again? I'm sorry.
45% from the field and 31% from three.
Three is terrible.
You see those numbers and you're like, yo, man, KD, you say Tucker stopped him, but KD was doing his thing. You're right. Kevin Durant's normal averages are 51% from the field and 40% from three. Tucker is the KD stopper, or at least the closest thing we have to the KD stopper in the NBA.
At 50.
If somebody asks me, you want to put Kawhi on KD or Tucker, I'm taking Tucker all day. I'm taking PJ Tucker all day. I think PJ Tucker, he gets into KD's head. Not only is he a great defender, he's physical, but he talks. He yaps a lot. And KD gets in his head sometimes. You saw in the playoffs, they were face to face. Tucker was in his grill. And I think he does that. He's an intimidator. This guy, PJ Tucker, is a guy that I would love to have on my team any day of the week. And if I were a basketball player, I'd model my game after PJ Tucker.
So who's more valuable? You didn't answer that.
It's PJ Tucker, obviously. Yeah. I think my stats speak for themselves. It's PJ Tucker. I think Tyler Herro is a great scorer. But when you're talking about a defensive stopper, good scorer. Yeah, you talk about a defensive stopper and what the Heat need, that's PJ Tucker.
This is where I feel like your argument. You threw up some very nice stats. I'm not gonna lie. I did not know a lot of that. I'm not even gonna lie.
It's a Tucker.
PJ
man.
Tucker. He's played a lot of defense on a lot of great players, and he's done his fair share. Here's the thing, though, with Brooklyn. We saw the Bucks. They had PJ. They had Jrue Holiday. They had Chris Middleton. They had Giannis. They had all-world defenders on their team. And, aside from Harden, obviously, because of the grade 2, whatever, I forgot.
Hamstring.
Thank you. The grade 2 hamstring. We seen Kyrie, who shoot very effectively. We've seen KD in general just shoot pretty effective. You know, he had a bunch of 50-point games, 40-point games. We've seen them still be the offensive juggernaut that they are as a team. And I think the reason why Milwaukee won was, of course, because the Nets weren't healthy and because they were able on offense. Giannis was going off. Chris Middleton at home was going off. They, you know, Drew Holiday on some days was going off. I think when you have defense can only take you so far in the league. When you look at the last 10 championships, the Warriors were top 5 in offense and defense. The Cavs were the only exception. The Cavs and Dallas. No, Dallas was actually a great elite defensive team. Cleveland was the only exception, the 3-1 comeback, when they weren't top 10 on the defensive end. But you look at the Spurs, top 10 in offense and defense. The Lakers, top 10 in offense. I think defensively it matters, but I think Miami already has that. You know, I think where they lack is when they don't have any offense. And I think if Tyler Herro makes that jump, which you drafted him to make, you know, then you're talking about a team that can really go to the finals and make some noise.
You know, when I think Tyler Herro and PJ Tucker are polar opposites.
Of course.
Because when you talk about one of the more overrated players in the league who got an absurd amount of hype after last year's playoff run, or 2 seasons ago playoff run, that's Tyler Herro. He's now becoming that overrated category. PJ Tucker is the most underappreciated player in the NBA. If the Bucks don't trade for PJ Tucker, they don't make the NBA Finals. They don't win a championship. PJ Tucker was tasked with guarding Kevin Durant, did a great job on him. But look at this. PJ Tucker had the second best offensive rating on the Bucks in that playoff run. He was second in point differential. First was Drew Holiday. Who had the second best defensive rating on the Bucks? That was PJ Tucker. First was Giannis. Who had the highest net rating on the Bucks? First was PJ. Second was Giannis. And third was Holiday.
Can you explain to me real quick what net rating is?
No, the offensive one is funny because Drew being number 1 and Giannis not being.
Can you explain real quick what net rating is?
Net rating is how many points you beat a team by.
Thank you.
So that means that PJ Tucker, when he's on the floor, the Bucks outscore the teams way more.
It makes sense. Okay, I get it.
So I'm saying, you know, so just to reiterate, PJ Tucker, he's first. No, PJ Tucker is second in point differential. He's second in offensive rating. Drew Holiday is first. Tucker had the second best defensive rating. Giannis was first. And Tucker had the highest net rating. Second was Holiday. Third was Giannis. All I'm saying is that in the Bucks playoff run, the players that get praised are Holiday, Giannis, Middleton, respectfully so. But without PJ Tucker, they don't win the NBA championship. I'm going as far to say that.
But I can easily say, without Tyler Herro, Miami doesn't make their magical run in the bubble. And it's the same thing that you just said, that if PJ Tucker isn't there, Milwaukee.
Let me ask you this.
Talk to me.
In that magical run, do I get to have Tucker on the Heat? Because if I do, I think they win the finals.
Okay, so let's do this. In this little Bucks run, is the Nets healthy?
Yeah.
Then all that you just said, throw it out the window.
But you thought the Bucks would beat the healthy
Nets. Me personally, I did. You didn't.
I didn't, but I thought it was 7.
Yeah, but
I thought it was 7-game series.
See, I didn't. I thought the Bucks was going to win.
But I thought that the Bucks game changer that season was getting Tucker. Once they got and we said it on the podcast. I said PJ Tucker, if he goes to the Nets, he's a game changer for them. If he goes to the Bucks, he's a game changer for them. With the Heat as well. I thought if he went to Boston, he would have helped them a lot as well. I thought wherever Tucker went, he was a game changer. Personally, I think if he went to Utah, knowing what they need defensively, Utah's in the finals. They beat the Clippers, and Utah's in the finals.
Interesting.
But what good is PJ Tucker's defense if they're barely cracking 100 points a game?
They'll crack 100 points. Because I think PJ, even though he's not a great offensive player, he's going to give you those 8 boards a game. He's going to hustle his butt off.
I'm waiting to see how this translates to offense.
For example, what team are we talking about the Heat right now?
Yeah.
I think Kyle Lowry, 18 a game. Jimmy,
Duncan's gonna be about 14.
20 a game. Duncan 14 a game. Bam, giving you 18 to 20
Tyler
a game.
about 12.
Tyler 12, but he averaged 15 last year.
Oh,
if you think he does better, yeah, 15. I don't know if we just add that up.
Victor gonna come back and give you about 10.
10 to 13, yeah.
Victor's gonna do that. They're gonna have about 6, 7, maybe 8 guys in double digit scoring. Just nobody cracking like the 22s, 23s, 24s. But they're gonna have a balanced attack on offense. And plus, Jimmy's clutch. Regardless of what happened last year, Jimmy's a clutch player in the fourth quarter.
But I think this is what they want their identity to be. They want to be.
Well, I think their identity is defense with or without PJ, and it's shown in the league. Of course, it takes them to a different level.
PJ adds to that.
Yeah.
For example, Detroit making a trade for Rasheed Wallace. That's like the Heat getting PJ. That's like the Bucks, honestly, making a trade for PJ. That's like the Detroit getting Rasheed. That's how important I think PJ is. I know it sounds funny because the points per game is off, but
I just think the league is so much more talented offensively that we're not going to see a team like the Pistons for a long time. And I don't think the Heat are that Pistons team.
I agree with you. I think that we're not going to see a team like the Pistons because that was perfectly assembled. And the only reason they won was because I think the Lakers' dysfunction just reached its highest peak. They, Shaq and Kobe were already
feuding. Done.
Past feuding. They were done with each other. So I think there were so many variables that went into that championship. But I do think we can see a team in the next couple of years, not the couple of years, but like in the next 10 years, win a championship, having that defense-first identity. I can see it. I don't know who's it going to be, but I can definitely see it happening again.
I feel like San Antonio was that. In 2013, 14, I feel like
they were because they didn't. Tim Duncan was past his prime. Tony Parker is great,
more defense,
but not all-star.
Attack,
Kawhi was not Kawhi yet.
Good points. Good point.
I think that was definitely. I think Golden State kind of adapted that too. The defensive-minded first, like we're gonna play defense, and then it's gonna lead to our offense. Same with Miami. A lot of their fast break offense was because of their defense and how in the defensive end they got a lot of steals.
One day we have to have PJ Tucker on the show for an interview.
No, we don't.
I got to let him know, how valuable he is as a player, man. I know he probably understands it, too. He's the most underrated player in the league. If he went to Brooklyn, it's over, man. That's the bomb squad right there.
Now, whoever said the Spurs, excellent comparison.
That was Riv. 2013 Spurs.
That's bro. The highest average was 20. From Tony Parker.
Oh,
Tony
TP?
Parker.
Talk about he washed.
Tim
he wasn't an all-star.
That was his one of his best years in my opinion.
Because he's not an all-star doesn't mean he's
Wait, no, I didn't say washed.
No, when we was talking about Harden, he was
that was 2 years later.
Go look at Tony Parker real quick. Just real quick. Just take a dive.
I'll just look at it, bro. Let Drew finish what he's doing.
I mean, regardless, it was 20 from him, 17 from him after that, a bunch of 11, 10.
Attack.
Yeah. All right, Tony in 2015, he averaged
10
6
points
less
per
points
game in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Oh, 10 in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's washed it.
He went from 20 from 2012 to 2013, then 16.7 in 2013, 2014, then 11.9. Oh. I'm sorry, 14.4, and then 11.9.
Yeah.
Then he went to Charlotte.
I wish he never did that.
Yeah, he should have just retired.
Yeah.
Actually, the year they faced Houston in the playoffs was the 16-17 season. And Tony Parker
16,
averaged 10 points in the playoffs that year. Yeah, Kawhi averaged 25. Aldridge averaged 17. Gasol was actually the third best player at 12.
I remember Gasol was there.
Gasol was good that year, too. That was after he went to Chicago and had a great year for them as well.
Great, too.
Talking about Chicago, we're going to talk about Zach Lavine, their star player right now. And we're going to debate right now because when we talk about the best shooting guards in the NBA, we talk about Devin Booker, Donovan Mitchell, James Harden, because he's transitioned to that point guard full time. We don't put him in that class anymore. But I think James Harden, we can all agree right now, is a point guard. So the top shooting guards in the league right now, Zach Lavine, Devin Booker, and Donovan Mitchell. Statistically, there's an argument for Zach Lavine being over Mitchell and Devin Booker. I guess you can put Bradley Beal in that argument as well. Do you think Zach Lavine is better than Devin Booker or Donovan Mitchell? I'll start with you, Riv.
No, you know what? It's interesting that you said that statistically. Like statistically, I think Zach matches up with any of these guards. I think You know, with a lot of the times you've seen guys put up numbers on bad teams, their efficiency isn't always the highest, but you see him with Zach, you know, 50% from the field, 40% from the three-point line. He shot, I believe, in the 80s from the free throw line. He was really efficient throughout the year, and I think that was a credit to the fact that he was just he's a high-volume scorer, but he takes really good shots. You know, he gets to his spots whenever he wants to, and that was an improvement in his game. I think, you know, the thing that's putting Donovan and Devin over the top is the playoffs. You know, I think both of those guys have shown, even though Devin has only been 1 year, he's obviously shown that he can prolong this type of play throughout into the playoffs where he gets late in the season, deep in the season. And then we've seen this from Mitchell for 3-4 years now. He's a certified playoff performer. He knows what to do. He knows how to get it going. He's dominated stars from Westbrook to Paul George to now even, you know, Kawhi and Paul George. You know, he's put up numbers on any team in any series. So I think, you know, Donovan for me would be 1, Devin 2, Zach 3. And we talk about just those 3 guys because Zach doesn't have the playoff experience. And we don't know what he's like deep into May, deep into June, deep in July. We know what those 2 guys are like.
I feel like right now you have to have Riv's order. But I feel like for me personally, I think Mitchell is definitely 1. I feel like he has put himself a little bit of distance between these 2 guys. But you really look at it, Booker and Lavine is a lot closer than what the NBA playoffs have told you, or have told, you know, someone who really only watches during playoff time. Now, Booker has been one of my guys from the very beginning. I've been a firm believer that he is one of the league's primary best scorers in the league by far and away. It's just he hasn't had it translate into wins until this season. Now, this season, he actually had one of the better playoff runs that we've seen. Kind of got cold against the Clippers. Pat Bev kind of gave him a bit of a fit. Same thing that happened in the Milwaukee series. He kind of had his struggles efficiency-wise, but was still putting up the scoring averages. Lavine has a complete opposite kind of problem. His efficiency is amazing. He's one of the most efficient shooting guards in our game. He just doesn't have it translate to wins. But he hasn't had a winning team around him ever in his career up until this season. Now, where I do believe Mitchell is 1, and I do believe it's close between Booker and Lavine right now, this season is the true test of whether Lavine can separate himself and really become a primetime player in this league. If the Bulls actually start winning some games and Lavine still averaging, I don't believe he'll average 28 again this season. Was that what he averaged? 27, 28. I think in order for the Bulls to win, he needs to take a hit points-wise, but still remain as efficient as he normally was these past few years. What we saw out of Lavine this past season was unorthodox, averaging over his field goal percent was over 50%. His three-point shooting was unbelievable. I think it was like 42, 43 around that range. He was amazing last season, just didn't translate to wins. If he averages the same efficiency as he did last season into this season, but the Bulls actually start winning some games, he actually makes a decent playoff push. I wouldn't even say makes the ECF. Wins around, maybe at best makes it to, maybe they do make it to the ECF. I doubt that happens. No way, no how. But if they, no disrespect, there's just, that team's better than you. But you guys win that first round, people will start to realize that Lavine is actually built like that, and he is a premier player in our league.
I don't think it's close right now between Zach Lavine and Booker, and definitely not Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell, what he's done in the playoffs so far has been remarkable.
For sure.
Something that has not been replicated by players. It's cool to do it in a series. Yeah. It's cool to do it for a year. But Mitchell has done it year after year after year. The one year that he struggled was against Houston, where Eric Gordon did a great job. That was the year Houston went to the NBA Finals, I believe. To the Western Conference Finals, I believe. But right now, it's just not close, man. I know Zach Lavine just had this breakout year, 27 a game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. He had his most usage as a pick-and-roll ball handler. And I see on Twitter a lot that people have Lavine over Booker because of these counting stats. I understand Lavine was efficient. Do I think he's a 42% three-point shooter? No, I think he's closer to 37%. I think that's where he's going to be around 37, 38%.
What?
Do I think he's above 40% year in and year out? I think this was one year that he did it. I don't see it happening again.
That's crazy.
I mean,
Even
it's
though-
not even that much of a fall off. So it's
Even
like
though
nothing to be
Lavine,
hurt about.
it feels like he's just jumping on the scene now. He's been here for a while. You know, he has 3 seasons averaging 20 points per game, but he is 26 years old. Devin Booker has 5 seasons averaging 20. Booker is 24. Donovan Mitchell has 4 seasons averaging 20. Mitchell is 24-25. Mitchell and Booker have more seasons averaging 20 than Zach Lavine, and they're younger. They've been in the league for less years. And then you talk about the playoffs. Donovan Mitchell in the playoffs, we know he's a bona fide playoff performer. I think he averages 29 points per game in the playoffs all around. That's like top 6 in the history of the NBA. Devin Booker, first year in the playoffs, goes to the NBA Finals. Zach Lavine has yet to prove that. He just got back from Team USA, and I know that changes players for the better, so maybe he can do it this upcoming season. But Chicago, with Vucevic, DeRozan, and Lavine and Patrick Williams, you know, what's really their ceiling? I'm not sure what's their ceiling. Are they an ECF team? Depending on matchup, they have to have that favorable matchup. If they face Brooklyn or Milwaukee in the second round,
Toast.
they're done for. Can they beat Miami? I think they could beat Miami. Can they beat the Knicks? Absolutely not.
They can beat Miami, but they can't beat the Knicks.
Can they beat Atlanta? I think they can beat Atlanta, you know.
Yeah,
So the 3 teams that I really see them losing to, you know, the Bucks, the Nets, and the Knicks. So, you know, they have a chance, but they better hope they don't face any of those teams, and they're bound to face one of them. That's just how the math goes.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Zach still has a lot to prove. You know, he still, you know, has. Oh, Jesus Christ. He still, you know, he still has to go into the playoffs. He still has to show he can lead a team. And I think, like you said, this is the first time that we've put a real team around him. You know, AK has done a phenomenal job of trying to build around Zach. And I think Zach, you know, adding Zach on into the discussions, putting him in with every free agent move, I think that was huge. It shows Zach that we want him to be the franchise player. And look, he has the tools, I feel like, to be that type of dominant player in the playoffs. It's just we have to first see it.
You think he's better than Bradley Beal?
No, I don't think so.
You think so? If you had to rank
He's 5.
the shooting guards,
I would go.
so Kyrie's over Lavine too.
Yes, it would go Kyrie, Mitchell, Booker.
But Kyrie's 1.
Yeah, Kyrie's 1.
You're putting him over Mitchell.
Yeah. Respectfully, Kyrie 1, Mitchell 2.
Okay.
Then you go Booker 3, then Beal 4, then I got Zach at 5.
I think I would have it Kyrie, Mitchell, Beal. I should lean Booker because he just got it done in the playoffs.
I mean, my top 5, I think I have. Well, I don't think I have. I know I have Donovan Mitchell. I have Kyrie 2. I have Devin Booker 3. I think he's over Bradley Beal. I have Bradley Beal 4, Zach Lavine 5, and are we counting Chris Middleton as a 2?
No.
Depends on how much. I mean, is he logged in minutes? A lot of minutes as a 2?
I'm not even sure.
That's how I'm
but
basing
based on
my
our
stuff.
lineups, you got Drew. Then at the 2, DiVincenzo. So probably not. So Middleton's a 3. Then at 6, if we're talking about this upcoming season and at the end, probably RJ Barrett.
Okay.
He's going to be the 6th best shooting guard in the league. Now we're going to move on to the NFL portion of the podcast. Riv just left because he has a basketball game to attend. He's in a men's league. The team is currently 0-5. We'll see if they win tonight. You know, he's going to miss the NFL portion of the podcast, so he better win tonight.
I'm sure he's happy about
Drew
that.
told him at least drop 10 points.
Yeah.
So we'll see what he does.
If he doesn't drop 10, we're exposing him. 100%.
Riv says he's the best player on his team.
I mean, if they're 0-5, that's not saying much.
Yeah, he's like Bradley Beal on the Wizards.
You're being generous.
So we're going to talk Colin Sexton more.
There we go. Okay.
So we're going to talk about the NFL, and
let's go.
The big headline today was that the Patriots cut Cam Newton, and Mac Jones is the official starter for Week 1. And that's coming to a surprise to a lot of people because pre-draft, I think Mac Jones was the most picked on prospect. You can debate Justin Fields, but in reality, everybody thought Mac Jones was trash. He wasn't good. His body didn't look like an NFL quarterback. They knocked him for having talent around him, all these other different knocks, and He's been the highest graded quarterback in the preseason, even higher than Zach Wilson, who I think is special. Mac Jones, 92.2 PFF grade, first among all quarterbacks, not even rookies, first among all quarterbacks. He has the second highest PFF grade in the preseason as a rookie behind Mahomes.
Really?
Yeah, Mahomes is first.
Jeez. What was Mahomes, 93 or something?
Probably like
that?
93 something.
Okay.
Yeah. So Mac Jones has been the real deal, 388 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 97.3 QBR. He's been the real deal. So my question is, do you think Mac Jones starting was the answer?
I'm on record already saying that I thought that Mac Jones was going to start week 1. Do I think he's the answer? Not this season. I don't think that the Patriots are going to be a contender for that division this season. I think that the Bills are going to be better than them. I think the Dolphins are going to be better than them. But I did understand why they named Mac Jones the starter. Mac Jones is going to be the future of this organization. He has years under his belt already. He came in, wasn't he a 4-year college football player? So he
3 or 4 years.
Something around that. Now, I'm surprised solely at the Patriots releasing Cam Newton. The fact that he wasn't even able to be a backup to Mac Jones to maybe give him some kind of guidance in the sense of, you know what, Mac, this is what you did wrong in the play. I guess that, you know, Belichick really didn't hold any kind of regard to Cam Newton's status in the form of developing quarterbacks, maybe because he didn't think that Cam Newton was a great, you know, reader of the field or the best passer in general to really give any kind of critique to Mac Jones, which I think that's pretty disrespectful. But ultimately, I believe that Mac Jones is the right answer for the Patriots in the future for sure. You've got a team right now, pretty young core. The defense is what's the older part of the squad for sure. But offensively, you know, Damian Harris is a young guy. Ramondre Stevenson is a young guy that the Patriots have obviously shown some faith in. Traded Sony Michel, made this guy the second string. Who knows what happens with that backfield? It's always been interchangeable. Now they have guys like Nelson Aguilar on the side. Kendrick Bourne, who's a young guy for sure. Hunter Henry, who I wouldn't say is young, but he's an older player for the fact that his body fails him year in, year out. Jonnu Smith's a younger type player. As a whole, offensively, that's their identity right now. So I don't blame them for going Mac Jones, especially with the fact that he's played so well in preseason. I don't think that it'll benefit them this season, but I think going forward, for sure, Mac Jones is going to be solid for this team.
Back in March, I said that Mac Jones is an absolute stud, and the fact that people are sleeping on him was ridiculous. I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
Watching Mac Jones, I thought, yo, this guy is the real deal. You know, maybe your Denver Broncos could have drafted him. You guys would have had a franchise guy.
Listen, I wanted Fields. I wanted Fields.
I do think Mac Jones is a franchise quarterback, and I think that he will be the answer for them this year. You know,
really?
week 1, the Patriots face the Dolphins, Tua versus Mac. I believe Mac Jones is a better quarterback than Tua Tagovailoa. And I'm not high on Tua. You know that. I'm not high on Tua. I think
this season, I'm telling you, man.
Mac is better than Tua, and I think the Patriots will be the second best team in the AFC East if the Dolphins don't trade for Deshaun Watson. That's a big if. If they don't trade for Deshaun Watson, because I think Mac Jones is going to be that good. I think the Patriots have a great core around him. They can win now. I trust Bill Belichick. If he thinks Mac Jones is ready to play, he's ready to play. Back in 2001, Drew Bledsoe was out. Tom Brady was in. Tom Brady proved to Bill Belichick that he was a really great quarterback. That's why he kept the job. Drew Bledsoe was coming off a big payday. He was the Patriots' #1 overall pick. And Bill Belichick said, to hell with that. Brady is better. And I think, looking at Cam, he has the bigger name. He has the resume. But Bill said Mac Jones is better. I was surprised that they cut Cam because I thought he could have been a viable backup. In my theory, I have 3 theories on this. One of them could have been the COVID situation that, you know, the Patriots don't want to deal with that, and that's why they cut him. Second, it could have been Cam Newton. Once they told him, listen, we're going with Mac, Cam said, if that's the case, release me. I want to have a chance to start somewhere else. I'd appreciate that. And they released him. My third theory probably could be that Cam Newton was such a leader in that locker room that having him as the backup would have been a distraction, because if Mac Jones played bad, now the players on the team are like, yo, Cam is right there. Why aren't you playing Cam? Now there's some friction in the locker room. So that's my other theory on it. But I think Mac Jones is ready. I think he's ready. I tweeted this. I think he's going to be a top 2 quarterback in his draft class.
Okay.
I think 1 is Zach Wilson, 2 is Mac Jones. Lawrence, I think, is going to be 3, teetering around 4 or 5.
Okay.
Lance and Fields, they're going to be around it. But I think the top 2 quarterbacks in this draft, career-wise, I'm projecting here, are going to be Zach Wilson and Mac Jones. And I think the AFC East has got a whole lot interesting with Josh Allen, Wilson, Jones, and Tua.
Something that just stuck out to me as I poke myself in the eye. Something that just stuck out to me, that thing you just said, is that you believe that Mac Jones is a better quarterback than Tua. I can't let that go, because the fact that he came back last season at all is incredible. Broken femur, had one of the highest win percentages a rookie quarterback could have, led his team to the playoffs. I believe
they didn't make the playoffs.
Apologize. The Browns made the playoffs over them. They kind of choked it to a degree, in part to Tua throwing 3 interceptions in the first half. I can admit that Tua didn't have the greatest showing in that sense, right, in that particular game. But the fact that he was even on the field at all when, one, Fitzpatrick was already doing his thing, and they already were winning games with Fitzpatrick doing the job. But then Tua comes in, and they don't miss a beat win-wise. They're still winning games. And the Browns finished 11-5, and it wasn't as if the Dolphins went out. Sorry, would they go 10-6 if you have it right there?
The Dolphins,
yeah,
they went 10-6.
So they had a more than respectable season in Tua's first year. Now Tua is getting a training camp, which he didn't have last season, and Tua has been lighting it up all preseason except for the very first day. You said what he'd throw, three interceptions, something like that.
I train in practice, yeah.
So then the next day, what does he go and do? Throws 6 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. I'm telling you right now, Tua is the breakout player this season for sure. Dolphins are a lock for the playoffs this year.
This is the thing, man. Will Tua be will he have a good statistical season? Yeah, he'll have that. But his ceiling is Jimmy Garoppolo.
Oh,
his ceiling is he's going to be a good quarterback. But the Dolphins are always going to say, what if we drafted Herbert? What if we drafted an actual franchise-changing guy? Because Tua's a good quarterback, but is he franchise-changing? Is he next-level special? He's not next-level special. He is that quarterback that you say, I'm fine with him, but if there's an opportunity that I could get somebody better, I'm going for it. And that's the reason they want to trade for Watson. That's exactly the reason they want to trade for Watson.
Come on, bro. Even if I'm the Jets and I have the chance,
absolutely not.
You're crazy.
Absolutely
it's Deshaun
not.
Watson.
No,
it's Deshaun Watson.
Absolutely not.
There is literally
his problems. No,
there is 60% 60 to 65% of teams that right now would take their quarterback, throw it away for Deshaun Watson. It's Deshaun Watson. I don't blame them, and we're going to talk about this. It's a good segue, regardless. I don't blame them for looking at Deshaun and thinking, okay, let's have him on our squad. It's Deshaun. In my opinion, I believe he is the most perfect quarterback in the league. He has the arm talent. He's mobile. His brain is one of the most advanced when it comes to reading defenses. He is just as perfect as it gets in my eyes, quarterback-wise. So do I blame the Dolphins for wanting to go get him? No.
Oh, I don't blame them.
But it makes crystal clear sense. But regardless of that fact, if they stick with Tua finally gets a full training camp. He has full confidence from his coach that just came out and said, regardless of rumors, this is our quarterback. Tua is going to light it up this year. He is a special, special talent. Arm-wise, he's one of the most precise throwers of the football. He is going to be amazing this year for sure.
The Dolphins won't make the playoffs this year.
They went 10-6 last year with Tua with no training camp.
And the schedule was easier. Now this year, I'm telling you, the Patriots are not the Patriots of last year. They are the Patriots.
And without Gilmore for the first 6 weeks.
J.C. Jackson, Jonathan Jones.
J.C. Jackson that got burnt by a rookie, Devonta Smith.
Devonta Smith is good, man.
He is really good. I'm not saying he's not, but I'm just saying.
What if he got burned by Justin Jefferson last year?
But Justin Jefferson has the rookie record for receiving yards.
So you don't think Devonta Smith could be on
break
that?
the record?
Not break it, but you don't think he could be a great receiver? Okay, so I'm saying
be.
Devonta Smith is different.
Yeah, he is.
Where is Cam Newton going now? Is his career over?
It breaks my heart to say, truthfully, but I think it's over. I do think it's done. I felt like the Patriots, the fact that he had a full training camp after last season, I'm taking a huge part of last year's woes on a lot of people's circumstances to not having a training camp. Now, he comes in, has a full training camp, actually has a off season to learn the offense, and Patriots didn't think it was quite up to par of what they wanted. Now, what other teams right now could he go to? We spoke about it on the last podcast. Mitch Trubisky really doesn't have that many options either. We thought that he could have, if he really was like that, he could have went to Washington. Do I think that Cam Newton at this current moment in time is better suited for Washington than Ryan Fitzpatrick? At this point in time, as much as it hurts me to say, I don't think so. I think that right now Ryan Fitzpatrick has just such a carefree mentality when it comes to throwing the ball that it brings him this confidence that actually leads to positive results more often than not. So with that being said, with Washington being my last resort right now, I don't see it. I don't see an opportunity for him right now.
The only teams I can see Cam going to are the Washington football team, Denver Broncos, the Colts, the Giants, and the Texans. With Washington, I think Fitz is better right now.
Yep.
And if Ron Rivera wanted Cam Newton, he would have signed him last offseason when Cam Newton was a free agent for a while. He didn't sign him.
Did Rivera bench Cam Newton for Kyle Allen?
Cam was injured. Cam was hurt. With the Denver, but Kyle Allen played so well that when Cam was healthy, they still kept him in there.
Okay.
The Denver Broncos, I think Teddy's better than Cam Newton.
Yeah.
I think Teddy Bridgewater's better than Cam Newton. So I'm not mad at that.
Yeah.
Then you look at the Indianapolis Colts. Can they be a team? I mean, Carson Wentz is always hurt. I don't trust Sam Ehlinger. I don't trust Jacob Eason.
Agreed.
That could be a team, but I think Carson Wentz has already shown that he's insecure when a quarterback is in that room and he can play just as well as him at their peaks. It happened with Nick Foles, right? So I think to secure Carson Wentz's confidence, you can't bring in Cam.
I agree.
You look at the Texans. Does Cam want to go to Houston? And I don't think so. Is Cam that much better than Tyrod Taylor right now? And I don't know about that, man.
Really?
Tyrod Taylor, he's made the Pro Bowl sooner. The last time Tyrod Taylor's made the Pro Bowl was in 2016. Cam Newton made it in 2015, I believe. So Tyrod Taylor is the most recent Pro Bowler between Cam and him.
I'm not holding too much regard to that, but go ahead.
I'm just saying Tyrod Taylor hasn't been a bad quarterback.
He hasn't been bad.
Then the Giants. I think the Giants are Cam's best bet. If Daniel Jones stinks it up, which is possible, and Cam wants to go to a team to start, he can go to New York, and I think they have offensive weapons. They have an elite defense to where he can win with that team. But honestly, there aren't many teams. I know Dallas came up, but I think Dallas, he's a backup. He's not going to play over Dak.
No.
But Dak also has that shoulder injury, which could sideline him, so Cam could go there. It's just a lot of things, man. I think Cam Newton's career is over as we know it because he just hasn't improved as a passer throughout the years. I think his injuries have gone to him, and that's what happens with running quarterbacks. Running quarterbacks regress, and it's probably going to happen to Lamar Jackson as well.
Mm-hmm.
Of course,
you think so?
It might. Cam Newton is, 31, 32?
Yep.
That's a young for a quarterback.
Is that his age?
And we're talking about Cam Newton like he is 40, Aaron Rodgers is 38.
32.
He's still going strong.
Yep.
So Cam Newton, if you're a running quarterback, your lifeline is shorter than actual pocket passing quarterbacks. On to the Miami Dolphins. It has been reported that they are interested in Deshaun Watson, and the Miami Dolphins are the favorite to trade for Deshaun Watson. Another report came out today that a trade is not expected anytime soon, and the Texans might sit Watson for the entire year. But let's just say, hypothetically, the Dolphins get Deshaun Watson. Does this put them at the top of the AFC? So that's in front of Buffalo. That's in front of New England. But the real test is Buffalo.
Yep.
Does Deshaun Watson put Miami over Buffalo?
Deshaun puts the Dolphins into top 2 consideration in the AFC, period. The Dolphins as a whole, even without Deshaun right now, defensively, they have one of the best defenses in the league, in my opinion. overall, they probably could have a better defensive line. Secondary, they're pretty solid. Xavier Howard being one of the premier corners in our league. Then you have Byron Jones, a solid defender. I think he's at this point a little bit overpaid, but maybe he just got a little comfortable given his contract situation. Maybe he'll be more motivated given the fact that the Dolphins are actually like that. Now, offensively, weapon-wise, there's no issue here. You have Devontae Parker, who's a solid receiver. It's shown with Ryan Fitzpatrick when he's given the opportunity, he can make the most of it. Then you look to Jalen Waddle, who they just drafted this year. People are talking as if he could be the best receiver in this class, which, hey, it's not too far-fetched to say. He's a true talent route runner. He's great. He's unbelievably fast. There's actually a video of him racing Henry Ruggs, and Henry Ruggs ran a 4.28, and Waddle beats him easily. And this is Waddle, who has a foot injury and was still able to beat Henry Ruggs. This dude, Waddle, is a special talent. Then you look at they added Will Fuller for a 1-year, $5 million contract, either 5 or 10. I doubt that they'd give him 10, but something.
It was 10.
Was it 10? Really? Yeah. Wow. Okay. So regardless of that, I do believe Will Fuller is a great piece to have. Only thing that worries me now is if they're going to turn him to the Will Fuller of old, given the fact that, Will Fuller was opposite of DeAndre, and it was basically go routes, and that he couldn't sustain that, and his hamstring would go every other season. I think it was every season up until this most recent one that he got busted for steroids, trying to avoid some kind of injury like that. So receiver-wise, they're stacked. You look at Mike Gesicki, one of the top tight ends in the league. I wouldn't say he's in that elite 3 tier with Kittle, Waller, and Kelsey, excuse me. Mark Andrews, I think he's also a tier above him. But then you could argue Gesicki's right underneath Andrews. Running back could be better. I like Gaskin. Gaskin really was solid up until that injury, and he came back. They kind of lost confidence in giving him the rock for some reason, but he was very serviceable in that time before his injury. O-line, they have a decent O-line, and you have Deshaun Watson. It doesn't really matter, the O-line. He's shown that with Houston having one of the worst O-lines, even with Laramie Tunsil at left tackle, he can still be as effective as any quarterback in the league. So with Miami, he'd be getting an upgrade even more so, not saying much given the fact how bad Texans were. But regardless, he's already shown he doesn't need much. And now you add Deshaun to an already 10-6 team. You're looking at probably an addition of 3 wins, in my opinion. So that's 13-3, which automatically throws him right in the conversation with the Chiefs, Bills, right there. The Bills went 13-3 last season too. So you add, which I already think is the best all-around quarterback in Deshaun Watson, to a team that won 10 games. It's no doubt that they could be a true competitor for the AFC.
So you hit the hammer right on the nail, because I think the Dolphins have a lot of offensive talent. And even behind Waddle, Fuller, and Devontae Parker, you got Jakeem Grant. You have Preston Williams. You have Albert Wilson.
Yep.
They have guys even behind their starters that are actually serviceable. I don't think the offensive line is good. I don't even know if they're average. I think they're bottom 20. Mm-hmm. But they are young. And like you said, Deshaun has shown he doesn't need a great offensive line. Without it, he performs. Last season, he had one of the most efficient quarterback seasons of all time, with no number 1 receiver, with no great threat at tight end, with no real running back, with a bad offensive line. So Deshaun Watson has shown that with barely anything around him, he can be special. He can be extraordinary. So now he goes to Miami, and he has that. He has a culture, and that defense, which is a top defense, they have one of the better secondaries in the NFL, and they're hoping that with drafting Jalen Phillips, they can have a better pass rush, because after losing Shaq Lawson, their pass rush is going to take a dip.
Yep.
Christian Wilkins is the best guy on that defensive line. Is that good enough to be a top defensive line? I don't think so. When you look at the Bills and the Dolphins, they are very similar. Agreed. They both have great receiving threats. They both have a great secondary. Their pass rush is average, but they both drafted rookies in Jalen Phillips and Gregory Rousseau to fill those voids, and they both don't run the ball great. Myles Gaskin, more of a receiving back. Devin Singletary, more of a receiving back. They are very similar in the way that they have structured their teams. But when talking about the Bills and the Dolphins, if we talk about teams that are similar, what separates them is the quarterback. Do I believe Deshaun Watson is better than Josh Allen? I believe Deshaun Watson is better than Josh Allen.
Yep.
So because of that, if they get Deshaun Watson, they are at the top of the AFC East. And like you mentioned, they're probably at the top of the NFL. Right behind Kansas City. I would put them over Cleveland because Cleveland has Baker.
Yep.
Baker's good, but he's not Deshaun Watson.
Way.
He's not even close to Deshaun Watson. So now it's really between KC and Miami. And can Miami beat KC? I mean, they can. Last year they faced them with Tua, and at first they were pretty similar. Then Kansas City pulled away. But with Deshaun Watson, do they pull away like that? Probably not. So I think Deshaun could get it done, in the playoffs. KC versus Houston. The Texans had a 24-point lead, and they blew it.
Yep.
That could have been Deshaun's shot, but, KC blew it.
So I'm
saying Deshaun Watson to Miami, they are legitimate contenders. And I don't know if it happens this year because everything is pointing to Deshaun sitting out the year. And that's better for Miami because this year is the year that Miami gets to really evaluate Tua. Mm-hmm. You had an offseason. You had a good training camp. You had a good preseason. Now it's your time to see if you can lead us to the playoffs. If Tua doesn't lead into the playoffs, if he has an underwhelming season, now Tua is expendable. Mm-hmm. Now he's not that guy that we thought he was or that many people think he is. I don't think he's that guy, but that you think he is.
Yeah.
So now it's 2 and 2-3 first rounders for Deshaun, and that's better for Miami because this court thing, this lawsuit is still hovering around Watson's head. If you trade for him right now and you give up so many assets and first-round picks, you might not see those back. And Deshaun, if he gets acquitted, now you're not going to have a quarterback. Mm-hmm. So it's better to wait next season when all of this is resolved. So okay, if I trade for Watson, I know that there's nothing else to worry about. I'm just getting Watson, and now he has a full training camp because if you bring him in now, learning a new playbook, system, all things that go into it, it's going to be difficult. So I think Deshaun makes them contenders. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if this is the year they'll trade for him, but I think eventually he's probably going to go to Miami.
I agree.
Now on to the AFC South predictions. We're gonna give our predictions on the AFC South and AFC North. Normally we would have went team by team, but because we have basically 2 more episodes or 3 more episodes until the NFL season starts, we have to do this right now and just get these predictions over with so you guys have them. You guys can make your opinions on them. AFC South, who wins the division and why?
I am going to go the Tennessee Titans. Now, this shouldn't be too much of a surprise. They won it last year, given the fact that the Colts really didn't have a real gunslinger at QB. Colts were among the league's best defenses. Their secondary was extremely solid. And Phillip Rivers did a great job of being a game manager, but, at times slinging it when he needed to be. But it could not be enough to surpass the Tennessee Titans and what they have offensively. And this was before getting Julio Jones, who is one of the best wide receivers the league has ever seen. People are counting him out. Now that he had his first down year ever in his career, people are automatically going to assume that Julio Jones is done. But now you give him a younger Matt Ryan, in my opinion. Tannehill reminds me a lot of Matt Ryan, only that Tannehill's more mobile than Matt Ryan is. And now you add A.J. Brown to the opposite side of that. And now you also add Derrick Henry into the backfield. And Julio Jones, as good as Devontae Freeman was in his time in Atlanta for those few years that he was healthy, he was never as good as Derrick Henry, or as good as Derrick Henry will be this upcoming season. And defensively, that's definitely the weak point of this team for sure. But you go and you draft a cornerback. Help me out, I'm blanking on his name.
Caleb Farley.
Caleb Farley, who had the potential at this,
to be a top 10 pick
early in mock drafts to be the first corner taken off the board over Surtain, who I already see as defensive rookie of the year, or Caleb Farley. Excuse me, not. Am I thinking of Caleb Farley? No.
You're thinking about J.C. Horn.
J.C. Horn, who went to Carolina, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So that was a very firm pick for them, especially with how late they got him. And you go and you add, oh my goodness,
Bud Dupree.
Thank you, Bud Dupree,
Autry.
which their defensive line last season was among the worst in the NFL. I think they ranked either last or second to last against the run. Secondary-wise, they weren't anything special either. Defensively, they just had a bunch of liabilities all over the field. But at least they did something to address that. And even without the run defense, without the secondary, they still won 11 games last season. And now you add Julio Jones to this offense that's only going to make them more dynamic. I can't believe I forgot Bud Dupree. Bud Dupree got one of the biggest contracts this offseason. His name just slipped my mind. But Bud Dupree, I like the signing. I think it was a little bit too much money, but for the fact that they have no presence on that line, they needed to make a splash somewhere. So I don't mind it too much. I do think it was a little bit overpaid, but there was reasons behind it. Now, the Titans should lock this up. I think that Wentz does give the Colts a better chance of booming than Phillip Rivers did because Carson Wentz's ceiling is higher than what Phillips was last season. You understand what I'm trying to say there. But overall, I just think the Titans are going to be too much to handle.
So let's get the first two out of the way. The Texans and Jaguars aren't in this race at all. The Texans, I think they're going to go 1-16. You know, they brought in Tyrod Taylor, Justin Britt, a good center, Terrence Mitchell, Desmond King. They have done some good things. I actually think this roster is better than last year's roster. But last year's roster was horrible. And the reason they won 4 wins, the reason they won 4 games is because of Deshaun Watson.
Yep.
Now you have Tyrod Taylor, and if he's out, Davis Mills. I mean, this team is going to be the worst team in football up there with Detroit. Then you look at Jacksonville. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence, Urban Meyer, who right now the Jaguars are under investigation by the NFL because Urban Meyer said they made some of their cuts based on players' vaccination status. So because of that, they're under investigation. I think they're a dysfunctional team on defense. They won't be very good, or on offense. So now let's get to the top. Colts versus Texans. Colts versus Titans, excuse me. The Titans will win this division at 11-6. The Colts will be 9-8. Carson Wentz right now is on the COVID list, so is Ryan Kelly. T.Y. Hilton, he's going to be out for a while. They don't have a left tackle. They signed Eric Fisher, but he's going to be out for a while because he had a season-ending injury in the playoffs. And I think it was an ACL or an Achilles, one of those two, but he's going to be out for about a year. They improved their pass rush with Kwity Paye. They have Grover Stewart now and DeForest Buckner. I like that. Their defense is going to be fine. Some people may view Carson Wentz as an upgrade over Phillip Rivers, but I don't. Is their ceiling better with Carson Wentz? Absolutely. But we are missing a key factor when talking about quarterbacks. That's leadership. There's not a guy that is a better leader of men than Phillip Rivers. This guy's a coach now. He's one of the better leader of men that the NFL has ever seen. He is passionate about the game of football. You can't say the same for Carson Wentz.
No.
Carson Wentz is not the leader. The reason the Colts were so good were because, they had a good all-around team, but Phillip Rivers rallied everybody. I don't think that is Carson Wentz's personality, and he's injured a lot. So if he gets hurt, and now the Colts have to have Sam Ehlinger in there or Jacob Eason, now their season is done. The Titans got Julio Jones, who I think, when healthy, is still a top 3 receiver in this league. The only receivers in Julio's class, when healthy, are Devontae Adams and DeAndre Hopkins.
No respect to Diggs?
Stephon Diggs is not in Julio's class when healthy.
Okay. And Tyreek?
He's a tier 2. Yeah, they're tier 2.
Okay.
They're tier 2. Michael Thomas is, I think, probably tier 1 as well with those guys.
Okay.
But I think tier 1 is Julio, Hopkins, and Devontae Adams. Contrary to belief, I think they improved their defense. They got a new defensive play caller, Bud Dupree, Danico Autry, Harold Landry, Jeffrey Simmons. Jayon Brown is still there. Rashaan Evans is still there. I think he's going to be pretty good. Kevin Byard. I think Amani Hooker is going to be pretty good at safety. He's going to fill the void Kenny Vaccaro left. Secondary is their weak point. Janoris Jenkins is their best corner. Caleb Farley, he's a rookie. I don't want to put too much pressure on him. Christian Fulton, he drafted last season. Who knows what he's going to do? The secondary will be the weak part. But I think their offense is good enough to just get 11 wins. I mean, Julio Jones, A.J. Brown, Josh Reynolds, Anthony Fersker. Offensive line is great. Derrick Henry. Ryan Tannehill, I think, is going to have an MVP-like season. I think he's going to finish top 5 in MVP voting because he's going to have such an electric season. Derrick Henry, I think, is going to take less carries this year. And you mentioned Devontae Freeman in Atlanta. These past couple of years in Atlanta, they have had no running game. They were a predictable football team. They're going to pass all the time. Now, in Tennessee, worrying about Derrick Henry having to stack the box.
Yeah.
I mean, Julio and A.J. Brown are going to feast on that.
Absolutely.
They're going to see single coverage. And Julio Jones probably hasn't seen single coverage since ever, honestly.
Never.
It's probably the first time ever he's going to see it.
You think he'll see singles still?
I think it's possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's possible. And even though Arthur Smith left, I think Todd Downing will do a great job. Coming into the season, this offseason, I was worried about the Tennessee Titans because they lost Jonnu Smith.
Mm-hmm.
They lost Corey Davis. I thought, okay, they might take a hit. But Julio, he offset all of that.
No doubt.
So that's why I think the Tennessee Titans are going to go 11-6. I think they will win this division, and they should be the favorites by far. I think there are too many question marks with the Colts. And I know the Titans' defense took a hit last season, but 2019 Titans defense versus 2020 Titans defense, the defensive personnel is pretty much the same.
Yeah.
And the 2019 Titans defense was really good.
For sure.
So I think there was just an off-year bad play call and a bunch of stuff. I'm not sure quite what it was. I just know that I don't expect them to be a bottom defense again this upcoming season. On to the AFC North. And this does it for our AFC stuff, right? Because we did East already. We did West. Now we did South. On to the AFC North. The Browns, Ravens, and Steelers, and then Bengals. I think off the bat, the Bengals are not going to win this division.
I agree.
Joe Burrow coming off an ACL injury. They lost William Jackson, Mackenzie Alexander. Jamar Chase, thus far, doesn't look like the 5th overall pick in the draft.
Yep.
I have them going 5-12 this year.
Okay.
And they could win less games. It really depends. So this division is a 3-team race between the Steelers, the Ravens, and the Browns. The Steelers will finish 10-7.
Okay.
I think the Steelers are going to be good. I think Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season as a coach. That helps a lot. Najee Harris, he's great. Their offensive line has looked good in the preseason so far. They got Joe Schobert, and their defense will still be elite. And even though Big Ben is getting a lot of slack for being washed and stuff, Big Ben had a great quarterback season last year, so I think he'll be fine. Next up, the Ravens. I think they go 12-5. They got Sammy Watkins, Rashad Bateman, Kevin Zeitler, who I think replaces what Marshall Yanda left to an extent, and on Alejandro Villanueva at left tackle, I think is pretty good. I think they'll be fine as well. I just don't know if I trust that offense. Running-wise, I do, but I think Greg Roman is a stubborn play caller, and he's stuck in his ways in terms of running the ball. I don't know. Maybe he can change it this upcoming year, kind of like what Brian Dable did from 2019 to 2020, but I'm not too confident in that. But the Ravens will still be one of the better teams in football.
For sure.
But the team that will win the division this upcoming season in the AFC North, I think, are the Cleveland Browns. One of the top offenses last year, Kevin Stefanski, is one of the best young play callers in the entire NFL. Defense, last year they weren't a great defensive team, but they signed Malik Jackson, who was part of that 2017 Jaguars great defensive core. They signed Jadeveon Clowney, opposite of Myles Garrett, who's already one of the top defensive ends in football.
Yep.
Anthony Walker signed him from the Colts, middle linebacker. They needed one desperately. Then Jeremiah Wusu-Karamoa. an insanely fast linebacker who can play safety, who can cover receivers, running backs. He's versatile as it comes. Then Troy Hill, John Johnson, Greg Newsome. They have filled every single hole they have needed to fill. You look on offense, receivers, tight ends, offensive line, running back, quarterback. You got that down pat.
Yep.
Defense, defensive line, linebackers, safeties, corners. They have that down packed as well. I think the Browns will be the best team in the AFC North, and I think they'll be the second best team in the AFC behind the Chiefs. I think the Browns this year, they are for real. They are legit.
And Browns record you had at?
13-4.
13-4. All right, so I agree. Bengals will finish last. I believe they'll probably go something around 5-12 sounds right. I'm gonna give them an extra game. I'm gonna give them a 6-11. I feel as if Joe Burrow hasn't looked himself. Jamar Chase hasn't looked himself. But I think that we still should not see them be around a 5-win team. 6 is still not great at all. You still go 6-11. You had a bad year. But they're in a tough division. They're in one of the more stacked divisions in football. I do believe third place is actually going to be the Ravens. Now, this is kind of, not what everyone else thinks. I just believe that the Steelers have upgraded at offense. Last year, their biggest issue was that they had no run identity at all. They didn't have James Conner because he was in and out of the lineup constantly. He would play the first quarter. He would play stellarly, and then he just missed the rest of the game because his body was failing him all season long. But when he played, he was really solid. Now, you bring in Najee Harris, who is a premier back, who will be a premier back in this league, has already shown some flashes of that in preseason. I feel as if now Ben, for sure, is older, and he's not going to have that same mobility that he has had. But we have also seen this preseason him show some flashes of being able to still get outside the pocket and still make a throw right on the money. I believe you guys can go look at it. It was against the Lions. He had a play similar like that where pressure, the pocket's collapsing. He finds a way to manipulate himself out of there, make a throw right where the receiver needs it to make the catch. I believe the Ravens are going to finish third, and it's not going to be that the Ravens have a bad season. I think that they're actually going to be 11 I believe it's going to be 11-6 because of the extra game. 11-6 sounds right to me. I believe defensively they still are very strong. They have one of the better secondaries in the league. I believe their front seven it is still very good. I believe that it is aging though. Calais Campbell's getting up there in age. They lost Yannick Ngakoue to free agency. So it's not like they got better as a whole defensively. Offensively, though, I still think that they're going to be the Ravens that we've been prone to seeing these last couple years. I think that Lamar not only will but needs to show improvement with his arm, at least show some kind of flashes to his MVP season where he threw 35 touchdowns that year. And I do want to see him be effective on the ground because obviously he is showtime when he takes off and uses his legs. But I want to see him throw the football and be effective because I'm tired of people saying that he can't do it or that he doesn't want to do it. He has the arm. He does have the arm talent. It's just that he's so much more effective with his legs. Why wouldn't you want to give him the ball and let him make something happen? Now, to the Steelers, I believe that they're going to be a 12-win team again this season. They still have one of the best defenses in this league. I still do question their secondary. Joe Hayden is getting up there in age. Cameron Sutton is solid. They did lose Steven Nelson, which does hurt. He was pretty.
And Mike Hilton.
And Mike Hilton as well. Both of them who were very good for them last season. So secondary is my worry for them, but they still have TJ Watt, who is, according to the NFL Top 100, a top 10 player in this league. I do believe he is a top 10 player in this league, top 2 defensive for sure. He impacts the game in so many different ways. Still have Cameron Hayward on this squad. Stephon Tuitt is still on this squad. Devin Bush, not Devin White. Devin White plays for the Bucs. Devin Bush was a very good pickup for them last season as well. He made his impact felt immediately. Obviously, they have Minkah Fitzpatrick, who is top 2, top 3 safeties in our league. They still have this all world defense still. So I do believe that they're still going to be very good, and I believe that the run game will keep them in a similar position. But you're 100% right. The Browns are going to be amazing this season. You said it perfectly. They have it all. I'm not going to reiterate what you said. They have an O-line. They have probably the best run game in football, and I'm saying that with Derrick Henry being alive. You have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, both who are pass-catching backs, obviously Kareem Hunt being the more dynamic of the two, but it's not like Nick Chubb can't do it if you asked him to. Now, you get Odell back coming off of ACL, who is more hungry as he's probably ever been in his career, and he's already faced a lot of scrutiny. He's going to want to show that he is an X-Factor type player, one that is going to be able to get it done for his squad, that's going to translate to wins. Jarvis Landry isn't a slouch. Njoku's still on the squad. Austin Hooper has always been a solid, reliable option for them. This team has everything offensively. Then you go and look on defensively, like you mentioned. Myles Garrett is arguably the best pass rusher in football. I guess if you want to count Aaron Donald is just the best at everything, sure. But pass rushing, it's him, Nick Bosa. Him, Joey Bosa, Nick Bosa. That's really the end of the list if you really want to go elites. Do you want to count T.J. Watt in that too?
Hell yeah, T.J. Watt's
Fair enough. I just because he's an outside linebacker, I figure.
Edge rusher,
yeah,
they're edge rushers.
Yeah, no, for sure. So then you bring in Jadeveon Clowney, who's just going to feast. If whoever you put opposite of Myles Garrett is going to feast, it just helps that it's going to be Jadeveon Clowney now. Denzel Ward is one of the best cornerbacks in our league, definitely one of the fastest, if not the fastest corner in our league. They added John Johnson now, which I felt was the move that put them over the top. They needed some safety help, and you go and you bring in John Johnson, who was excellent for the Rams last season, and you go and you take away one of the Rams' best secondary players outside of, obviously, Jalen Ramsey, who is the best corner in the league. And now you bring him onto the Browns. Now they have no holes. I think the only hole would only be linebacker, but with all the talent that they have around them, did Schobert go back to the Browns, or is he on the Steelers now? He's
on Pittsburgh.
The Steelers linebacker, that front seven is still as good as it's ever been, probably as good as last season, if not a little bit better now you add Schobert. So it's going to be a very close race in this AFC North, but I do believe that the Browns get it done. I have them going 13-4 as well.
Yeah, I think the Cleveland Browns are probably going to win the division. They should, at least on paper. They have the best roster in the division. They have a top 5 roster in the entire NFL. I think Baltimore, we still have to see more stuff from Lamar Jackson. Pittsburgh, that offensive line, how good is it going to really be? And Cincinnati, we know that Cincinnati is not a good football team, at least right now. Maybe in a couple years they'll be better. But those are our AFC North predictions, and now we finish all our predictions for the AFC, so that's a good sign. Next episode we'll do the NFC, East, West, South, North, and get that done with, and also maybe NFL Pick'em to get started.
Let's go
for week 1 of the NFL season. Go. So Riv had to leave for this portion of the podcast because he had a game in the men's league, for his team that he's trying to carry.
I'm not gonna knock it.
He's trying to carry his team to victory, so we'll see if he did that. He thinks he's probably gonna lose though, so
they're 0-5.
Yeah, they're 0-5. So
there's a chance they lose, and apparently they're playing the best team.
And apparently they're missing a lot of their players because some are on vacation and stuff like that.
Yep.
They don't have a lot of bodies to spare. So this is going to do it for episode 108 of the Pick a Side podcast. If you guys want to join our Discord server, you can by being a Patreon supporter or having a YouTube membership to our channel by joining. You can join it on the screen right here on YouTube. It's going to have a join button. And we're going to do a lot of cool things, man. We're planning on, once we have more support on Patreon and YouTube, we're going to do, member and Patreon only live streams where you guys can be in our streams. We'll do episodes that are catered around what you guys want us to talk about. And that's pretty much it. If you want to join the fantasy league, the Pick a Side Fantasy League, you can do the same thing. We have 4 or 3 spots open left.
Yep.
So, they're going to probably go by fast because we haven't even promoted it on the podcast yet.
Not at all.
So now that we promoted it, it probably is going to get, filled up.
I was thinking we should do episodes strictly for the draft itself because we got to still organize the draft. It'd be pretty cool if we live stream the draft, us doing it in real time.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Right?
That's a good idea.
No, for sure.
That's a good idea.
And then it gets some of the audience onto the live stream as well. Obviously, that they're going to be drafting with us, so that'll be pretty cool.
So this is going to do it for episode 108. We're going to record another episode this Friday, I believe. So stay tuned for that. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.